money making money, money making money, money making money, money making money, manifest, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. I ain't stressed, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. Gratitude is my attitude, I'm making money moves. Jewelry in the safe, piggy bank on full. And I'm living life abundant, I'm making money fast. I'm a money making magnet, making cold hard cash. I'm making money. Oh, I am blessed.
The wife and I know, I don't have a candlelight, we didn't raise the candles or the incense. Normally we have a candlelight, a white candle, incense. The candlelight is there given to lighten the way as they travel through the other worlds. Bring information. It's well known in Egyptology that they talk about going through the underworld, and sorrows and all these things. My ancestors, they know that, entities neither created or destroyed. When they transform from this structure, they go into a spiritual form. If they're still among us, they're still with us to give us information. So they're not dead. They're just vibing on a different vibration. So a lot of times you get dreams, visions. These things are unctions. They come to keep us informed. They will help us. And anytime we endeavor, we just don't call. We can't all keep calling the white man's God. They help us. Did I make somebody God? You can't call on that blue-eyed, blonde-haired fella on the cross to come help you. When your ancestors go beyond that, they call upon our ancestors. The Pope prays to the Black Madonna. Y'all know this. Right. So the power base is in our carbon base, which is in the black man, the black woman. But I want to carry you back in the area of knowledge today. We're going to start with a video clip. Then I'm going to get off into it, all right? I'm going to do the libation. We want to, and this is called the Only Tutu libation. Go with that? We began by saying only tutu. Only tutu. Ili tutu. Ori tutu. Egun tutu. Tutu laraye. Ibesi oshutura. Ibesi gungun. Ibesi orisha. Ashe. And we welcome all our ancestors by name, we know and do not know. We call upon them to be with us today. Recognize Brother Issue Adeli.
Yeah,
okay. Brother Bandeli, when he was with us. All who warned before us of wisdom and knowledge. Ashe. What we're going to do, we're going to begin this. Oh, my brother brought the fire. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I kind of put on the end now. Thank you. You always notice when someone passed, they have what's called a candlelight vision.
Right.
Wonder why?
They'll support our knowledge.
That's us. They got to perpetrate because they know there's something in this. So whenever you want to deal with your ancestors, light a white candle. Right. Invite them in. Right. Invite them in. Ask for guidance. So we've invited them in, and that incense too. The Senate, because we offer light to light the ways they go through the other world. Then you have yours, and we offer incense to sweeten the ways they travel through the world. And we pour a lot of respect and honor to our ancestors whose names we know, and all the ones we do not know, to have lived and to liberate their souls in the name and the light of Olodumare, where it's through the love, the will, and the power of Olodumare that all souls are saved. Ashe. That's what we do every day. Because who is Olodumare? Olodumare is the oldest form of divinity without gender known to the world today. Every other divinity is evolved from the throne of that we call Olodumare. We're going back before there was time. Many people are bowing down to what we call Orishas. Because they have powers, they made them gods. But Olodumare is not a god. It's not a god. And we won't get off into that. All right? So hold that thought until we get going and bring it back to it and I explain to you, all right? I'm going to attempt to start this off. It's a few minutes. It's just about 10 minutes of this white boy. He's going to be talking about African fractals, okay? Now, I'm a little ahead of myself, so I'm excited. But, y'all do the old people? No, I get it there. Okay. This young man is going to, my daughter told me to take the time. She's not here. What?
The mathematician named George Cantor. And Cantor decided he was going to take a line and erase the middle third of the line. And then take those two resulting lines and bring them back into the same process, a recursive process. So he starts out with one line, and then two, and then four, and then 16, and so on. And if he does...
Okay, I started there. He's going to go out of jogging and lines and
recursive geometry. In Ethiopian crosses, you see this wonderful unfolding of shape. In Angola, the Chokwe people draw lines in the sand, and it's what...
Wait a minute, let me get it. Now, what I'm trying to get to, not trying, I'm going to,
It almost exactly matches the scaling exponent for the relationship between wind speed and height in the wind engineering handbook. So these guys are right on target for a practical use of scaling technology. The most complex example of an algorithmic approach to fractals that I found was actually not geometry, it was in the symbolic code. And this was Baba sand divination. And the same divination system was found all over Africa.
where's the power at?
All over. As well as the West Coast. And often the symbols are very well preserved. So
See right there?
Do you recognize something up there?
Yeah, on the right bottom there.
How do you recognize that, Brother Brady?
Those are symbols that is in the E5 books.
That is the symbol on the far left.
Right.
What I'm telling you about now. That is our ancient E5 language that's in this book, and that is Osa. That is Osa. They are using our knowledge in algorithm and binary codes to run computers. I have it right here. So bear with me. I'm going to pass the book around. Everybody all right?
Oh, yeah. Right.
This is E5 genealogy and order of seniority, Cumulus family trees. If you notice the marking up there, I got a circle right here. That is Osa Mason. Now they only gave that fool the left hand.
Yeah.
They didn't give him the right hand. You'll hear him say he had to go through a lot. He had to go through a lot of initiation and sleep with the letters and the cola nuts and give himself this, but he even told him this much. But I want you to watch where this white boy go with this knowledge. Pass it around. You see it's Osa. You see the markings? That's open, close, open, close. The one at the top is the masculine. The next is the feminine. So it's masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. Okay? That's how they write it. You notice the book is 16 major Odus. It's called the 16 cosmological numbers that control the cosmos. It's based on not 12, not 9, but on 16. 16 going to the 7. Everybody still with me? Right. So that's what, and you're going to talk about African fractals. It's called fractal. I mean, every design, every thread, every stripe has a meaning. My brother's piece he got on. You notice he got a dark line, light line, dark and white line. It's a message just in his clothes alone. Every picture that we have, our ancestors didn't do things haphazardly. Everything they've ever done, it had a meaning or a story attached to it. Are you with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is one, and we do all the stuff to get to that one particular statement. Hear what he has to say.
Each of these symbols has 4 bits. It's a 4-bit binary word. You draw these lines in the sand randomly, and then you count off, and if it's an odd number, you do 1 stroke, and if it's It's an even number you put
The
down.
bottle down the
And
line.
they did this very rapidly, and I couldn't understand where they were getting. They only did the randomness 4 times. I couldn't understand where they were getting the other 12 symbols.
And we told them
And they
change,
wouldn't tell me. They said, no, I can't tell you about this. I said, well, I'll pay you. You'll be my teacher, and I'll call you straight away. They said, it's not a matter of money. This is a religious matter. And finally, out of desperation, I said, well, let me explain George Cantor in 1877. And I started explaining, why I was there in Africa. And they got very excited when they saw the Cantor set. And one of them said, come here, I think I can help you out here. And so he took me through the initiation ritual for a Brahmana priest. And of course, I was only interested in the math, so the whole time he kept shaking his head, going, I didn't learn it this way. But I had to sleep with a cola nut next to my bed, buried in sand, and give 7 coins to 7 lepers, and so on. And finally, he revealed the truth of the matter. And it turns out it's a pseudo-random number generator using deterministic chaos. When you have a 4-bit symbol, you then put it together with another one sideways. So even plus odd gives you odd, odd plus even gives you odd, even plus even gives you even, odd plus odd gives you even. It's addition modulo 2, just like in the parity bit check on your computer. And then you take this symbol and you put it back in. So it's a self-generating diversity of symbols. They're truly using a kind of deterministic chaos in doing this. Now, because it's a binary code, you can actually implement this in hardware. What a fantastic teaching tool that should
What
be.
did you just say?
In African
Binary code.
And it went back to what?
Most
The
interesting thing I
hardware.
found out about it
They're
was
using
historical. In
answer
the 12th century,
Islamic
the sons of Leah
technology
brought it from Islamic
around the
Muslims
world.
into Spain. And there it entered into the alchemy community as geomancy,
What do
the
you call
divination
it?
through the earth.
Geomancy.
This is a geomantic chart drawn by for King Richard II in 1390. Leibniz, the German mathematician, talked about geomancy in his dissertation called De Combinatoria. And he said, well, instead of using 1 stroke and 2 strokes, let's use a 1 and a 0. And we can count by powers of 2, right? 1s and 0s, the binary code. George Gould took Leibniz's binary code and created Boolean algebra, and John von Neumann took Boolean algebra and created the digital computer. So all these little PDAs and laptops, every digital circuit in the world started in Africa. And I know Ryan says there's not enough African computers, but I don't think there's enough African history for right now.
Yeah.
That food just say Africa.
Yeah.
I say. So why are we on the bottom and they on the top? Because they're using our ancient technology to run the world. It's our mathematics. It's our geniuses that run it. We sit around here with our hands looking for handouts when we own the gold. That means the knowledge. Because it's not being taught. Because of miseducation and indoctrination. Because of religion. They say this is voodoo. This is voodoo. Well, why do you not voodoo? Put it on.
Yeah, they're making it.
Huh?
They're making it.
I ask my brothers and sisters, why are we not learning this in our homes? Because every home should have this knowledge, so you got somebody wondering about what to do. You can ask the ancestors. You can divine in your home and ask the ancestors. What do we need to do? How to invest? What do we do this? What's going to be going? But see, back in the day, we got away from that now. We plan to fulfill on the cross. Look for answers. Then you hope you got the right answer. This is failed truth. It's called Yashabiyah. Our ancestors, the knowledge. I'm going to ask Brother James, one of my brothers, to come for a minute. I want you to read something out of this book. Everybody all right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you hear me talk a little straight, I'm one of Barry Shango's students. So if I ask you a few times, if everybody all right, you can answer me. You can say Ashe.
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 Okay. Let me go here to volume 1. Come on. Brother James. This is from the book called Yashabiyah. This is after God is Yashabiyah, but actually before God, because if you go to this white boy talk, he said he go beyond infinity. I didn't play the whole 16 minutes because some people didn't stay that long. But when you look the whole end of this tape on African Pratt, I'm running back a little bit, but those came in. He says it went beyond, this guy got so deep in it that he lost his mind and had to put it in insane asylum because he cracked up, because he went beyond infinity with this information. He said, what? And we forgot God is infinity. He said he went beyond infinity with this mathematics. The dude lost his mind. And if you want to, when brother, I'll play the whole. The thing is 16 minutes long. You know. And the brother here, his name is Robert, he said the guy actually lost his mind. Now he'd been put in an insane asylum because he thought he had met God. Brother James, would you read from this? I have an underline ready from the book. You can underline what it says here. Come over here so we can get you on the camera. We're videoing this also, so you can get a copy of it for later review. All right, bro.
Yashabiyah, whose knowledge and wisdom have generated fundamental and enduring civilizations that has found itself surfacing in other parts of the world, including the inventions of single alphabets, namely the Alpha mystical.
That's AFA, same thing as IFA, the Alpha mystical.
Zero.
See, they call it disciples. That's the mother of all what?
It's the mother of all alphabets.
The mother of what? All alphabets. It came from us. Because it recognized the cosmos, the combination, the circle, the infinity. But the guy said he went beyond infinity. He reads.
Says, which is not only the mother of all alphabets in the world today, but has also introduced very early post-literacy civilizations among the Igbos from the immemorial and now in the world at large by the ongoing development of computer science.
Computer what?
Science.
What on our world today, people?
Computers.
And where we found that? Our cell phones.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. You don't move without your computer. And you want to see something else? Lose your cell phone. And you almost crack up.
Where that?
Where? We got so hooked. No rather we use our own technology to run the world. Anything you want to know, you got to go on your computer, on your cell phone, all these apps, kick the app in, pull it up, right? But where did they come from? It came from our ancient knowledge. For the benefit of those of you that are here, allow me to run this back a bit. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me make some remark while you run that back.
Okay.
When they started inventing the computer, my understanding is it's an African that showed how
Let
to
me
do
end
it.
with just a few words
They
about
no white person done
applications
it.
that
An African
we
done
found
it.
for this. You can
Black
go to our
black
website.
human being come up with these codes.
Made the cell phone designed the first blueprint for these
Chronological.
iPhones for black men.
Yeah.
I took electronic
Humans here, where the sacred altar would be, and here's the village as a whole.
That's good. That's good.
And I'll rearrange this, and I'll stick this.
Yeah, they want to argue. They don't want to accept it.
Allow me to do
Each
this.
of which has an infinite number of points in it. So he realized he had a set whose number of elements was larger than infinity. And this blew his mind, literally.
What
He
did he
was
do?
in the sanitarium.
Blew his mind.
And when he came out of the sanitarium, he was convinced that he had been put on Earth to found transfinite set theory because the largest set of infinity would be God himself. He's a very religious man. It's a mathematician on a mission. And other mathematicians did the same sort of thing. Swedish mathematician von Koch decided that instead of subtracting lines, he would add them. And so he came up with this beautiful curve. And there's no particular reason why we have to start with this seed shape. We can use any seed shape we like. And I'll rearrange this, and I'll stick this somewhere down there. Okay. And now upon iteration, that seed shape sort of unfolds into a very different looking structure. So these all have the property of self-similarity. The part looks like the whole. It's the same pattern at many different scales. Now, mathematicians thought this was very strange because as you shrink a ruler down, you measure a longer and longer length. And since they went through the iterations an infinite number of times, as the ruler shrinks down to infinity, the length goes to infinity. This made no sense at all. So they consigned these curves to the back of the math books. They said these are pathological curves and we don't have to discuss them. And that worked for 100 years. And then in 1977, Benoît Mandelbrot, a French mathematician, realized that if you do computer graphics and use these shapes he called fractals, you get the shapes of
What do you
nature.
call
You get the human lungs, you get acacia trees, you get ferns, you get these beautiful natural forms. If you take your thumb and your index finger and
Like
look
this.
right where they meet, go ahead and do that now.
You get a fractal.
And relax your hand. You'll see a crinkle, and then a wrinkle within the crinkle, and a crinkle within the wrinkle within, right? Your body is covered with fractals. The mathematicians who were saying these are pathologically useless shapes, they were breathing those words with fractal lungs. It's very ironic. And I'll show you a little natural recursion here. We just take these lines and recursively replace them with the whole shape. So here's the second iteration, third, fourth, and so on. So nature has this self-similar structure. Nature uses self-organizing systems.
Okay.
Now, in the 1980s, I happened to notice that if you look at an aerial photograph of an African village, you see fractals. And I thought, this is fabulous. I wonder why. And of course, I had to go to Africa and ask folks why. So I got a Fulbright scholarship to just travel around Africa for a year, asking people why they're building fractals, which is a great job if you can get it. And so I finally got to this city, and I'd done a little fractal model for the city just to see how it would sort of unfold. But when I got there, I got to this palace of the chief, and my French is not very good. I said something like, I'm a mathematician and I would like to stand on your roof. But he was really cool about it. He took me up there and we talked about fractals. And he said, oh yeah. We knew a rectangle within a rectangle within a rectangle. We know all about that. And it turns out the royal insignia has a rectangle within a rectangle within a rectangle. And the path through that palace is actually this spiral here. And as you go through the paths, you have to get more and more polite. So they're mapping the social scaling onto the geometric scale. It's a conscious pattern. It is not unconscious like a termite mound fractal. This is a village in southern Zambia. Baila built this village about 400 meters in diameter. You have a huge ring. The rings that represent the family enclosures get larger and larger as you go towards the back. And then you have the chief's ring here towards the back, and then the chief's immediate family in that ring. So here's a little fractal model for it. Here's one house with the sacred altar. Here's the house of houses, the family enclosure, with the humans here where the sacred altar would be. And then here's the village as a whole, a ring of rings, with the chief's extended family here, the chief's immediate family here. And then here, there's a tiny village, only this big. Now you might wonder, how can people fit in a tiny village only this big? That's because they're spirit people.
What kind?
The ancestors.
Spiritual.
And of course, the spirit people have a little miniature village in their village, right? So it's just like.
What did you just say? Where's our spirit people in our homes? They ain't there. We got no place for them. We created no sacred altar, no sacred room to go and commune with our ancestors. But in Africa, there's always a place in the village and the home for what? Our spirit people.
Yeah.
And these white folks are learning this stuff. You wonder why we're so lost? Why we're so disconnected? Because we're not in tune with our power base, which is our ancestors. Before there's a God, you're going to know who? Your ancestors. Did I offend somebody then? Because the only God you know is your ancestors.
Right.
Everything you hear about is maybe, but you know grandma and granddaddy, great grandma, and all, and ain't so and so, so and so. And that's whose blood is running through your veins.
Right.
Ashe? And they're telling you that you got to keep that connection. But we lost that.
Right.
What's it called?
After the fracture of the last
the heart of African design.
Which has an infinite number of points in it. So he realized he had a set whose number of elements was larger than infinity. And this blew his mind, literally. Keep checking the sanitarium. And when he came out of the sanitarium, he was convinced that he had been put on Earth to found transfinite set theory because the largest set of infinity would be God himself. He's a very religious man. It's a mathematician on a mission. And other mathematicians did the same sort of thing. Swedish mathematician von Koch decided that instead of subtracting lines, he would add them. And so he came up with this beautiful curve. And there's no particular reason why we have to start with this seed shape. We can use any seed shape we like. And I'll rearrange this and I'll stick this somewhere down there. Okay.
I'm going back to those that might have missed it. Going back here. What did it say it was in? The divination system. The binary code. And those are the markers that we use in Ifa to do readings, to ask if you got problems, how to deal with your health issues, personal issues, how to overcome certain things. Because the ancient priest would teach the student or understudy or somebody would be priest. Who is the priest in your home? Ask yourself, who is the priest now in your immediate home? I don't mean the preacher at way across town, shoot by the way, by the watermelon, bring your tithes. Who is the priest in your immediate home? Who is the matriarch? Who's the go-to when things happen?
Our ancestors.
Our ancestors. Who's at the next connected to that in that home other than your ancestors? The next male or the next female, the adult, should have this knowledge to sit down and how to deal with issues. We don't need to go to psychiatrists. We have our own built-in psychiatrists in our homes because we will go to Ifa. What does Ifa mean? It means the wisdom. It ain't nothing voodoo. What Ifa only means the wisdom and the knowledge. And we have developed a code or system of ancient way of ancient time. And I'm gonna go back today, not 10,000 years, not 100,000, 200,000. I'm going back 2 billion years. I'll get there just a minute. I'm looking ahead of myself. I know I'm gonna do this. But you look so interesting sitting out there going like, what? There's a white person talking about your stuff. Never been me up there. Oh, that nigga know what you talking about. That nigga crazy. Well, this white boy said they gave him money, a scholarship to go to Africa to study us. He didn't go to Europe. He didn't go to France. He didn't go to Germany. Where did he go, people? Say it loud. Where did he go? He went to Africa. Got it. What kind of brother? A full bride. Look it up. That's not a chief scholar. That's not a chief brother. I'm not one of them biggies. Like a Rhodes scholar, that's one of them biggies. And he went there to study us. But thanks to the old Babalawa, he did a trick job on him. He only gave him one hand because he far. You got two hands. You got a right and a left. Right, sis? So if I only give you one, you only got to have the story. Remember who had both hands. We can hang it up. If he did that much with one hand, we could kiss goodbye. But look at how people in small to get his food a part of the hand. He won't have a sleep the cold nuts, the leopards and all these things, and saying, "Bury your neck and sand." Go through, then they come back and talk to us. What he did. Now, how many of y'all would have done that? Oh, I ain't doing all that. That initiating stuff. But this white boy, because he wanted to know something, he didn't care what it took. He would do it to find out what he was looking for. He made the sacrifice. All right? He made the sacrifice. You see that right there? All right? Allow me to move on a little bit. I'm going to go out of this. Y'all want to get out of it? Okay, I'm going to get out of this. Everybody all right?
Oh, yeah.
What that say?
Connecting to our ancient past.
Connecting to our ancient past. All right. The reason we connect to our ancient past is so that we can begin to reclaim our knowledge, reclaim our power. I'm not going to go through the complete overview today, but I'm going to jump through this. The overview, we're going to deal with you just there, active practice. You see that? The man talking about the things. How our ancient technology runs the world. That's where we're going. And why is it important that we know this? So when you walk around with computers in your hand, you know where it comes from. Divination is the language. And I want to go to this word. Y'all know the word Pangaya? I say.
That's right.
You know the word G-A-I-A at the end of it? Yeah, we already done the clip. I'm moving right along quick with time today. Okay. I'm going somewhere else because I want you to see something. This. What did that say?
Nuclear reactor.
Read it out loud, somebody, please.
Nuclear reactor.
Research discovered a 2 billion year old nuclear reactor. Where was it found at?
Africa.
Y'all been saying live. Where was it found at?
Africa.
Is that 10,000 years ago? What did that say? What?
2 billion.
Hey.
So what's coming a little closer, baby girl, so you can get a look at it? That's the best I could do.
I'm all right, I'm visiting
But
everybody.
I want that to soak in. So if we had a nuclear reactor 2 billion years ago, who in the hell are we? Who are we? We are what the world needs. So I'm not talking about 6,000 years of the Bible, Adam and Eve. People get greedy.
2 billion.
Now, I didn't make that up. I didn't write that. What do you find in a reactor? You find what? Computer technology.
Yeah. Binary code.
Binary code. Everybody all right? I like your style, bro. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? I say,
That's
so that
right.
means what? We've been lied to. We've been deceived. We've been what we booked, what you call
Here
it?
we
How came on told hijacked. Man, we've had it. But now they're finding out, more they dig into Mother Africa, huh? That he wasn't a bunch of heathens. They found a what? A 2 billion year old nuclear reactor in Russia. South Africa. Europe. Like I said, Africa. It says research and stuff that this thing had ran for 500,000 years.
Damn.
It ran for 500,000 years. Help me out. Help me out, somebody. What that say?
It looks like the researchers from Russia have found a 250 million year old
Microchip. What you say about to go, bro? Huh? You see that? Now look at that so-called microchip. Anybody familiar with E5 definition chain?
Right.
Do you see that? You see that is 5 chains laying side by side. In Dibia, the Igbos use 2 chains instead of 1. E5 used 1. The Igbos use 2, and the other group use 3 and 4 because they get a whole story. Once pass it around, it's the same thing that they see laying on that board. That's O2. And those are O2s, they call them microchips. We can take them to the same thing with our Pele chain, because it's all about what said, communication. I can throw the chain and get the same thing. So they use the technology, they use a mechanical form of what we did naturally to read how things, and I'm gonna go back to it. Why do we divine? What you say, baby? Hey, look, you and I know, hey, I was saying, like, what the hell? What? I was playing around with 300 million, you know my thing, 300 people. But I found this 2 billion year old reactor. I was both ready. I let him down. It ain't going to 40 million years. I had to go 2 billion.
Yeah, right.
That sounds realistic, don't it? Because the Bible says only 6,000 years, y'all.
Yeah.
Because the Bible said, because the Bible said,
Yeah.
excuse my friend, somebody done lied.
Who wrote the Bible?
Who wrote the Bible? They were talking about. Because we have actual artifacts and proof that we've been, how long, bro? 2 billion years.
Alone.
Or longer. Longer. And if it's 2 billion years we built it, how long we been there when we built it?
Yeah.
Boy, they better get real. Let's see something. Divination. Okay. Somebody read that. Why do we divine?
Divination is defined as the faculty of foreseeing. Divination, what's that,
E5.
is an art, and it involves having insight into one's fortunes and misfortunes, from birth to death and beyond. Each person has a certain God-given life potential.
Now, and in Ephod, they call it Orishas. You have the Bible calls them guardian angels, but in Ephod, they call it Orishas. And every family has what they call a family deity. When I went and had my roots reading done, the wife and I went to Old Tunes Village and the chief and all did the reading, mine came back Ifa. That is my real family name. Not Bagman, not Yashabiyah. And the answer, my name is Ifa, which means I was a priest or a warrior priest that that we use this art to do things, to fight the enemy, to help preserve our, and to fight off diseases, and to keep our people in tune. What was your family name, baby? Oleo Safety Con. Now, my family deity name was Ogun. Her was named Obatala. They would call these gods, but they're only Orishas. That means family Orishas, who watch over your family and guide your family as you did things. And everybody has an Orisha that watches over you and your family. Are you with me?
Yeah,
I say, here we go, brother. Let's get this next one.
Okay. Divination teaches us about our ancient past and ancestors. Divination serves as a means to realign a person to the rightful path that was decided upon in heaven before one's arrival to earth.
Keep on. Before what?
For your ride.
Before you ride what?
To earth.
So you came somewhere else. Get in. Proceed.
If one aligns himself with the forces of nature, which are within us all, one will have a more fortunate outcome with one's endeavors. Divination is a means for achieving one's endeavor. I already read that right. Spiritual aspirations.
Now, what is spiritual? What is spiritual, people? Help me. What is spiritual?
What is spiritual?
Like supernatural.
No, do this.
Yeah, breath.
Breath.
Okay.
That's all it is. Come on. And everything you do is in your breath. Come on.
Okay. It teaches us to balance ourselves within our environment.
Do what? To balance ourselves in our environment. So we don't do that. We too busy trying to act like somebody else than who we are. So we don't have no balance. Okay? There you go. Come on. Chasing their ancestors. Y'all call them money. They got what? They got white folks on it.
Yeah.
So you chasing their ancestors. Come on.
Okay. This crucial element, divination, is missing in the masses of the African descendants in the New World and even in Africa itself.
Oh, that was no
Shade.
because the white man came on and said, that's evil, that's voodoo, that's wrong. Now you keep all Africa immediately. I say, because for millions of years it has worked for us, beings it worked for us. Why denounce it now for a new trick?
New trick.
Because we such a loving people.
That comes to you so right. You so right. Let me go again. Here we go. Divination. Boom. Here we go, bro.
Okay. Africa is the cradle of civilization. This cradle nurtured many different means for man to communicate with God. Throughout the African diaspora, only one form of communication, via divination and spiritual virtue, has reigned supreme. Ifa.
All right.
Through the Ifa apparatus, divination is performed and fate is revealed.
Okay.
Ifa is expressed in all African countries in one form or another.
What kind? In one form or another. Be it Ephod, Gibeah, whatever form they use Ephod is the root of all of it. It may have a different way of getting to it, but it's the same mathematical equation. Depending on the dialect of the reader. Proceed.
Okay, by one name or another. The slave master has to eliminate this ancient power that the African used in order to enslave the African in the New World.
Stop!
Yeah.
Did I just tell you that a while ago? He's trying to find out more about you while they got put on you over here. Mr. Reagan got you chasing wood cookies. He's trying to find out about, and he give what scholarship to people to go try to find out about you. Now, watch this. The old dudes. The old dudes. What is the old dudes about what the old dudes are? 16 major old dudes.
16 major old dudes.
16 major old dudes. It's in the works of the works of the Ephod. Okay. While back we was teaching this over Pan-African and different ones. Think about how to come out. They were interested. They had well, I'm gonna tell you, this is your lifeline. This is how to change things around. This is how to break addictions. Got a family member on drugs. Ask your father what herbs we need to do to get them off of these addictions. Because it's what? It's a spirit. Everything has a what?
Spirit.
Say it again, have what?
A spirit.
And once you appease the spirit, you can either put it in your control or dismiss it.
Right.
Did y'all not know that?
That's right.
Our ancestors did.
That's right.
Because what? They came from the other world with the knowledge. So before coming to earth, they said in the Ephah Bible, it talks about the 3 attempts to make the world inhabitable. Billions of years ago. Not what Ursula said in the Bible, 4004 BC, October 19th. Archbishop Ursula said the world started with Adam and Eve. He just told the biggest lie. 2030, well, can't think of it go up. But we went back, brother, how much did we go back a while ago?
2 billion.
How many?
2 billion.
2 billion years. So where did leave Adam and Eve at? Kindergarten, cosmology.
Kindergarten, cosmology.
All right, talk to me somebody.
Odu tells the stories of the ancient people, Orisha and ancestors.
The ancient people. Now, would you believe that the ancient people is in your Bible?
Yeah. In the Quran.
The Quran and Bible, they call it Yasharuni in the Quran and Yasharan in the Bible. He said, like, the ancient people whom they call Amolam, get to them in Amolam, which means the ones who knew, to put the world in order for me. He said, I gave them a language, so I gave them a perfect language to communicate with me, but not with each other, but with me. So, Odu Ifa is how you communicate with your Orishas and the elements. Ashe. Ah, this man, I'm not the man, where did they come from? Whoops, whoops, there it is. Whoop, there it is.
It is.
They filed the house bill, definition. Did y'all see the one that white boy showed up there? Yeah, that is right there. Right there. That's one the old boy played with him with. He didn't give the rest of them. He didn't give them. He only gave him one. If he did that with one, but they had all 16. Say it again. If the Bible only gave that cracker, and that's what amazing, they only gave him half of that. He gave him whole thing him half. Because he found that comes in majors. You know, OG major, OUQ major, Erosoon major. That means twins. If I only give him half of the twins, he's missing parts. Because of what? It's masculine, feminine. Y'all all right?
Yeah.
Suck it up. Let's see here. I gotta erase that because we done gone back. What, bro?
2 billion.
So I gotta get rid of that one. Okay, thank you, sir. Gotta get rid of that one. Oh, here we go. Bam! Where's she at? She's in the heart. The place is called what? Pangaya. That's the real name. Because it's the whole, we own all of this, people. Not just this, but it's the heart. We used to own all of this.
2 billion years ago.
2 billion years ago, we run a thing and we read all of this. Not just this, but the whole thing.
That's why we made the new crate.
Y'all better quit. Huh?
We look all the
We own all that. It wasn't one continent, and that was Pangea. We had one ocean. Well, let's just see that be true. Let's just see that be true. But want to read this? Okay, bro.
I'm ready to see it.
Okay, I said, don't worry about it. I got a brother. Come on, bro. Pangea, break the definition down.
Pangea was
a super continent.
Was a super continent that existed during the late
Paleozoic
and early
Mesozoic. But they wrong because we went back 2.1 billion. We talking about 300 million. We went back 2 billion also. That one don't even equate to it. See?
Approximately 300 million years ago.
Yeah.
It began to.
Well, that's a joke, but we just did 2 billion. Yeah. But they teach that in schools to white folks. They, you know, you had Jurassic. But we went back 2 billion years.
So they have,
of ancient wisdom. So they got to go someplace. Here we go. Some white boy in 1927 decided to call it that. Yeah. The one who told that dude.
One of us.
One of us. Here we go. In the Bible, Isaiah 44:7, and I didn't bring it, but y'all some of you don't like the Bible. Let me tell you, in the Bible, the Quran, all religious books, we're here in there. You gotta bring us out. It's a coding. See, they mistaught it and misinformed you, but in the book, it's a coding. Once you understand the coding, you can bring it out. It says, and who as I shall call and shall declare it and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people and the things that are coming and shall come, let them show it unto them. It is through divination that we're able to tell people what's coming, how to prepare for it. Huh? Right. We ain't doing none of that. Oh no. Boom. Who are the answered people?
Oh.
All right, bro. Your time.
Okay, Olam, was it Olam?
Answer means Olam, not old Mac.
Over.
Olam.
Yeah.
It is what is hidden, concealed to the vantage point, time.
It's borrowed.
Say it loud, time.
Borrowed.
What that mean? Before time.
It's time.
Time what?
Time.
So to be ain't really nothing. We go beyond that, y'all. We get caught in there. Hey man, bro, you have to do better than that. 2.2 billion. You can do a little better than that. 4 billion, 8, 12, 15. We keep going. Huh?
That's it. People.
Time passed and what? Antiquity from the most what? Ancient time. I say the word am means people. People what? A nation, tribe, community, what? A common. We ain't common. Not doing too big, not doing too big. Ain't no, even baby ain't common. Because baby come in, ain't common. Any questions?
I have a question about that guy that was in that picture.
Okay, the guy, his name was English.
He's an English boy.
Yeah, his name is Ron English. He's a mathematical historian out of England. And this guy that he was studying with, you heard him, went crazy. Flipped out there from the same south. But they were trying to find out what is these Africans doing? This thing is called African fractals. When you get home, look it up. Take it to it. We didn't just do things happen. Everything had a story in it, had a meaning in it. Every design, and they call it what, the wall? Geometry?
We call it mathematically speaking.
Speaking.
Everything is up under the number 19.
So what we were doing, because we were so in tune with creation and the cosmos, everything had a meaning. And it tied into the laws of nature. Because Gia means what? Great Mother Earth. So we go back. Let's go back. Let's see. We go back. Double check. Come on. Come back with me. Let's go back. Okay. The second paragraph. The name Pangea derived from the ancient Greek pan meaning what? Entire. And the word Gaia, Gia, what Yah, because what I behind any word means that's the word Yah. The ancient God, ancient deity, known over the Mars, is Yah. It only means what? It means what? Mother Earth. The name was coined by this fool in 1927. Coined. We used it many years ago. Most Moors will tell you we recognize Gia. As the Moors, the Washingtons, they recognize Gia, Great Mother Earth.
When you mention the term Moor,
is
this the more ancient right here where we are right now?
We're at home, people.
Right here.
That's so y'all ready to go.
Yeah.
Anywhere we go, we're at home. Y'all not get that on.
Slow down. Slow down.
The word alien on the front
Yes, sir.
none of that before doesn't speak.
Nah.
So all those images we created to be.
I mean, come on.
So, brother, so right now, can I ask you this? So we are the indigenous people right here.
We are. Whoever black on
Right
this
here.
land.
But it's planet.
Right here where we
The
are.
whole
I mean,
thing, the
right
whole
now.
thing is, come on, the whole
Right
thing
here
is
where we are
up.
now.
Yeah.
Right here.
All
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, I'm showing you this, I'm going this, I'm showing you.
And Mars too. It's pyramids on Mars too.
You know, come on, if you go down to Lulu, where I'm at, it ain't nothing mounds.
He said
Mounds everywhere. Huh?
after 20 years, he said he doesn't
Oh,
know.
man.
I'll say.
When you break it down, simplify it, I say right here.
Yeah, we
Where we
did.
are, right here.
Yeah, because you see, North America.
Right here. That's what I'm talking about. Right here.
I mean, come on, look at that style. I mean, come on. And she is the heart.
Show
Now,
me-
back in the day, it was
Show
called
me
the Congo.
Show me the Middle East.
Huh? You gotta find it.
Gotta find it somewhere. They don't have.
They gotta have. But come on, James.
To what our young brother said, you still thinking small to say we the indigenous people
No.
here.
No.
We the indigenous people of this planet.
Right, but I was just
But
saying.
they didn't scientifically prove
Right.
that we are the only people who have human DNA.
Right.
All the rest of them are us mixed with Neanderthal and all that other stuff. We are the only humans on the planet.
Right. No, I was just saying it right now, so I can get myself clarified.
No,
Right.
hold on. He did not create him, okay? He came from another source.
Right.
He came from another planet.
He came from another source.
Another source.
He came from the 11th planet, Mars. That's where
He tried to get back home. Let me ask you. Well, y'all know what y'all expecting, y'all excited. Let me go here.
You say with the horses. With the Martians.
Oh, the Martians.
Why you think they trying to find, they found water on Mars. They trying to get their butt off of this planet called, y'all finna tear ass up.
Brother, wait a minute. This is Black's Law Dictionary.
Purebred
Wait a minute. This is from the Black's Law Dictionary. I didn't write, but I'll get everyone on my phone. It says, free white person. What is a free white person? Based on Black's Law Dictionary. You ain't gotta read the whole thing. I want you to read just what it says, that's written right there. You see that? Use the language.
Okay, say, it includes all European Jews,
Watch this.
more or less intermixed with people of Celtic, Scandinavian,
Scandinavian, keep going.
Teutonic,
Mhm.
Iberian,
Keep going.
Latin,
Keep going.
Greek, and Slavic descent.
What is a free white person? No definition. Watch where it's going. Keep reading.
It includes Magyars. I can't read that one.
Yeah, maps. But you see Moors here, Moors, Africans. What I want you to see though, right here, but it does not include what?
It does not mean Caucasian. Right?
Stop.
Hey.
Caucasians are not white people. They ain't free. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, page 792.
Also, the white people is the white people is the 7-Eleven boys with the dark skin.
That's it. That's Black's Law Dictionary. They find it all the courtrooms. Said a free white person, you not because you ain't nothing, because you're Caucasian, you ain't. Moors, Africans, everybody who mixed their blood, they're considered what free?
What?
So they call that cracker free. He ain't free. He's still under bondage. Go.
Why do we call him white?
Go ahead. They call it the miseducation. You know how they call it white.
Get away from that word.
Go ahead. You might as well, because he ain't. Because he said what a free white person is. Is that right? He ain't in the list.
He's screwed.
If we go in the dictionary, we use etymology and look up the word freedom. The definition of freedom is one who is free from government rule. So tell me who's free in the world. So you've been BS by the word freedom. It tell you that on the first page of the protocol of international society.
That's it.
How did them BS?
Any more questions?
Freedom. You ain't free.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay.
What dictionary was that?
That's Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, page 792. I get paid. You know, I get paid from numbers, addresses, blood type, all that stuff. So yeah. So all black people need Black's Law Dictionary.
Oh, shit.
Obviously.
What's an adult? Any girl from infant to 12 is an adult. Boy, infant 12, 14 is an adult. So everybody try boys an adult in court because we don't know the law. He ain't for 60, but he's considered an adult. But the judge put the base of a card to the law here, civil law, he's an adult. Get a nigga life.
A girl 12 years
A
old.
girl 12. What?
Yeah, I know that.
That's in there. There's some more things in there.
A boy,
It will blow your mind.
you adult.
Judge, you need a Black's Law Dictionary. I'm serious, people.
That's what the law go by.
And these what the Supreme Court and what them all go by in the land. They pop that, don't get no King James Bible, the Black Law. Case number section 65139 says James versus Odo. Odo lost by 6 points. See what I mean? You know, I like what they go by.
Oops.
Everybody all right?
Okay.
What is it? They said, Bobby, Yashabiyah, crazy as hell. They talking 2 billion years. But I told it to you. Now, I taught this in other classes, and I'm not gonna get off on that today because, you know, we didn't come for that. But what I want you to understand that they're using our technology to run the world. Why shouldn't we want to learn how to use computers? Huh? Why shouldn't we want to learn these things? Because we created it. We brought it into existence.
Now, you know, I went to high school at Duncanville High School.
Okay.
And we had an engineering program. We had like a robot.
Okay.
We built robots, like the chipboard robot.
Uh-huh.
And you know, like with binary code, you can, I graduated in 2007, so it had to be like 2005, 2006.
Okay.
But I was just messing with the little computer, you know. And it's a way that you can make a robot. A robot can have a conscience and know not to go. I can have a robot walk all the way to the end of this table, and I can tell him keep walking, PX90, and he'll say, I'll be a danger if I continue to move forward. And then my teacher told me, now he was an Irish man.
Okay.
And he told me that I was doing too much to have the robot deny my commands. And now they building the robot this year to break commands, to say, but when I did that back in high school, my teacher said, are you doing it? We don't need to do all that. We just want to win the competition.
This is also in Divya, the book, some of the you throw. I teach this. There's a form, now most people, you gotta be initiated, you gotta go through this, that, and the other. But there's some forms of Divya, EFOB, that you gotta be initiated to understand the no reason. I think it's a little crazy because it's natural already in you. How am I taught something already in you? I just need to show you how to use it, you know? Why do I need to teach you how to see? You already got eyes to see. Why do I need to initiate you to get your eyes open up? So I didn't go along with that. So a lot of cats don't say, well, he ain't this. I'm not into ripping people off for the money. It's about the knowledge. Now one thing we talked about, I had in a book. Anybody can learn. If you got, I go to a Bible, I ain't got business, I get the book and learn it. I can comprehend, I can read, I can do it. That right?
Yeah.
Why I gotta put you on the ground 21 days up to your neck in salt and snails and all this kind of stuff for you to do what I can teach you to do very simple. Don't make it complicated. You know, I say. And of course, did we make our point about our ancient technology running the world? My brother, you think James, do we show it?
What are the possibilities? You said at one time they gave the left hand.
Only the left hand.
Only the left hand.
Yeah.
Which is the negative.
Consider that it's just the feminine side of it.
Oh, okay. Well, I looked at it as, and I understand. Yeah. I looked at it as the positive for the right.
Well, see, remember this. In our makeup, left side feminine, right side masculine. Receive, seal. The balance. So they father teach about the balance. Now, when you throw it, you actually said it right to left. You're reading right to left and not left to right. They only gave him this hand. They didn't give him this one. See?
You didn't know how to receive, you don't know how to give.
Thank you. So
you know how to receive.
He's all he was doing what? He only gave him this, but he didn't give him this one. That's what he gave for. What did he say? I came to learn about this. So they gave what he gave for. He paid me. There you go, but you're still short because you ain't got the balance. You don't have a balance, fool. So go on out there. But the fool was strong enough to create what? A hellified system.
Yeah.
How long it do, I don't know, but the fool did, because we what? That's what we're buying right now. Can't get the one, the next day got a new one coming out. We went from iPhone 1 to iPhone 6, going to 7, next to iPhone 10. We still buying phones, this is better. Galaxy 6, 7, got this all the technology, and all you do is play with your own technology.
That's why they call it Galaxy, they don't call it Earth.
You know,
I was into that stuff.
Android, you know, whoa. I can't do that. It's your stuff. I can't do math. Why can't you the one that invented it?
It's too hard. That's what
What you mean too hard? This is your stuff.
I do that all the time.
It's your stuff, man. And the whole world runs on what? Mathematics.
Yeah. E5.
Eva, the wisdom. You don't want to study this? You don't want to know this? You need to know this. Like I'm going to say, you need to know this, grasshopper. Yeah. You want to change your life? You need to know this.
And some martial arts.
It's all involved in it. It's all about movement and movement and mathematics. Yeah, it's all about all of that.
No,
Yeah.
you can get the computer, yeah, but
So come on, you need to know this.
E5, you can.
See what I'm
It's
saying?
on the computer, something, a lot of it. You got at least all the books.
Y'all, this is what I'm gonna ask. Can you put that PowerPoint on my jump drive?
If your jump drive, if you know how to do it, show it on there. I got on jump drive. You put on your jump drive, I don't care. I don't see it. Because I got on jump drive, you jump drive, you put the whole thing. As a matter of fact, if you put on my jump drive, now a whole lot of stuff on the jump drive. My jump drive is loaded.
Yeah. Cole, hey, Cole, that.
Okay,
yeah, Pan African Bookstore, he have done 11 lectures, this lecture number 12.
Yeah.
You go to Pan African Bookstore and buy 1 through 11, and I'll have this in there in about a week or two.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, support
I
me,
can-
brothers and sisters. If y'all appreciate what I'm about, support me. I'll buy my DVDs and give it back to town, and we'll go deeper. Because I'm about the research, about empowering my people to the point where we got a bed, just speak, and it comes to existence. We have that kind of power.
Shay.
What about the book?
The book,
They give you.
the book, if you can find it, it took me 10 years to get the book.
Is that right?
I can tell you, my wife, I get back order, can't get it, out of print, and I finally got it. I said, give me both of them.
So he said,
Try to get it, please try to get it. But when you get it, it's gonna need a little help, because somebody has to what? Help you to understand
yeah, right.
the book.
Yeah. Got to have what
Get it. But guess what? The brother's still with you. Before I go with the answer, you better get my book still here with you. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Get the knowledge while we're elders still among you to help you. We're not trying to make merchandise of you, but want you to know, because the knowledge must live on when we go to the other side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anything that I have, I have a problem sharing it.
Right.
You know, I don't mind sharing the knowledge that my ancestors have afforded me to have to give to my people, because they're tired of us being on the bottom, looking up, seeing bottom.
Right.
Y'all get that?
Yeah, Scott, boy, you down low.
Bottom, looking, seeing bottom.
You body low to do that.
Still on the bottom.
Yeah.
You know,
So Les Brown said, if you can see up, you can get up.
you can get up. So that's what I'm trying to tell our people, you know.
Yeah.
And this is what it's all about today. And I was fortunate to find this particular work, this more. They found a 40 million-year-old machine outside of Africa with the cartwheels and the algorithms in it and the fractals. The machine was running 400 million years. You know. So when I called my brother and I was doing the work, I said, brother, tell me I'm going to talk about these 440 million years. The next day, 2 billion showed up. That's all shoot. I'll let them down now. Gotta go back. I had to go back. So did y'all get this? What do you think about the presentation?
Beautiful.
It was great.
Yeah.
I'll let you go in.
Hey,
We're
Cole,
gonna work on it.
the catalog family, it's a member of the catalog family. He came up with way to produce energy. And you go, once you get it started, you don't do nothing else.
Yeah.
No pollution. It's one little old box, say big as, maybe that, little bigger than that mic back there, can produce enough for a whole city.
Okay.
You know, and once you get it started, it's rough forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's our technology.
Yeah.
It's us. You know.
Rice producing electricity too. And I don't want to tell
Everything does. We went back talking about, you know, it's my Bible. We were doing biofuel 300,000 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. Sutton talking about flying glide airplanes on vegetable fuel. You know,
Right.
this ain't nothing new. Everything produces gas. We know that.
If when you were talking about the Bible, can you tell some of the youngsters in here that don't have that Bible how you can get it from
The
you?
book you want to get, you're going to read the Bible, you want the Hebrew Greek keyword study Bible, not the Walmart special. You want to help you. You want a book, it's called the Hebrew and Greek keyword study Bible. Why? Because it breaks down the key words in the
You
past.
don't know this.
We just tell them to say that. Yeah, of course he knows.
Yeah, he know that because of me.
But you see, the reason I say it is because when you deal with 9 billion, no, 1,313,000 people that are Christians, all they know is the Bible. All they know is the King James. They don't know it was 6,000 different copies of the King James. They don't realize that the King James never really wrote the Bible. Okay? Okay? But they believe his version. I am believing when the man didn't even see the book. Didn't even sign off on it.
And it's the 27th version.
There's more than that, you know, we know there's more than that. And the written book,
1881.
yeah, the written book's got 80 books in it, ain't got 66. You know, so we did all that, but what we need to divorce is a madness. And get back to our technology.
A religion period.
A religion period, you know. That's what the word religio, which means to put in bondage or to put a yoke upon. We don't need that yoke, we need to break that yoke.
You know, way of life that was based upon.
This is what we have, this what we have, what we need to get back to. You know, get our power back. Any other questions? We got about 10 or 15 minutes, yes.
I would ask, why come it's not that many women in the Bible? Women.
They there.
I'm talking about as far as like, right.
We who wrote it, right? Those president brothers, they were laid up in the book.
What is women? A woman came out of a woman. And a woman came out of 8
But check this out.
Creator created male and female first, and so 8 man and the woman and the women, they came from
That other one.
Mars. That's a hybrid that got stuck down here on top. This ain't
See? Any other questions before my brother gets loose?
Read this book right here, you know something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we go way back. We traveled around the country together. And, well, I said, we left town. This brother here, this brother, we left town. We didn't even we would have a van loaded with books. That high on the ground, going down the highway. We carry at least 100, 300 books when we travel.
All we needed 2.
All we now needed 2.
2 miles.
But now we that I just showed you 2 billion years. There you go, 2 to research.
Cole, you want to close out anything? You want to close out any kind of way?
Yeah, we're going to trade the brother Praise is going to come. And like I said, we're going to be able to wrap it up. I'll leave it to Little Louisiana. If anybody wants my contacts, my number, my wife will give it to you. I'll give you my business card. And that way, if you have any questions, and if you find any joker, I'm going to say, I'm going to get on the line. Anybody say they can make me out of the line, well, I just tell them to call me up and I'll debate them anyway. Preacher, ma'am, you name it, the rabbi, call them out. They won't debate me.
So
they won't debate me. They won't debate him either.
I got one more question.
Okay.
I just had daughters, right?
Okay.
They 2 years old. I got twin daughters, just 2.
Emoji.
Yeah. So should I teach them about the Bible or no? Should I keep them far away? I'm just asking.
Give them a balance. Teach them and break it down. Because they're going to face it.
Right.
Teach them the in-depthness of your knowledge first. And give them balance.
Right.
Because we are in a Christian world. Okay, Cretinism. To be a Cretan means to be an idiot.
Right.
But yeah, you got 2 little daughters. Give them a strong family foundation. I would say Pangaea or African, but you can see how that means they start changes on that. So give them a understanding of who they are and a balance.
Right.
And go in the world. Okay? You get the right point. The twins, get the right point. Work with them right there because they're at that age of learning and they're receptive. Like we were studying the other day, the thing now, people from 1 to 5 is 1 to 7, they say now. And those are the formative years. Give them a foundation and a direction, and they won't depart.
Right.
Okay? And I'm gonna write, give my phone number, write it down. So if you need to call me and talk to me, and this is my cell phone. I'm using today my hotspot, but most times it's on my hip. And the number is 318. Okay.
Okay, 318.
341 2160. Every Sunday night, write this down. There's an app called iHeartRadio app. Some of you might be familiar with it. The Wi-Fi on every Sunday night, 7:30 to 8:30. It's called Let's Talk with Mom and Pop Back. We're out of Vicksburg, Mississippi. We have a radio show that's worldwide, all over the country. And you hear me on the Acting Food. I'll be breaking this stuff down. Like I was telling the other night, let me ask you a question. How many of y'all had a good Thanksgiving? Raise your hand. Have a good Thanksgiving. You got busy.
We're blessed, we're alive.
Yeah.
Okay, but now, the question about that is, why did you?
I'm an engineer.
I know y'all know you. But wait, I'm going. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're talking all that back. I asked the question because most people don't know why they celebrate Thanksgiving. It ain't about God. What do you think it's about? Why they celebrate Thanksgiving?
Oh, Jesus been good to me.
That's misnomer. Misnomer.
They celebrate.
The Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock in 1620. They didn't have turkey. They had guinea hens, deer, and eel. Okay, wasn't no turkey. Okay, boom. 16 years later, they tried it again. It was in December. It was not in November. It was in December when they did December 11th. Got the documents. Why do you celebrate Thanksgiving on the fourth Thursday in November every year? It never changed. It's the only holiday that never leaves its spot.
Right.
Christmas will be this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but Thanksgiving is always the fourth Thursday in November, no matter what. Why?
Well, they thanking God for helping the natives to help them live.
Let's go back. A black man by the name of John Hanson, the first black president of the United States, established as a day to celebrate the surrender of Cornwallis at Yorktown fighting General George Washington. October 19, 1781, he surrendered to Cornwallis surrendered to George Washington. And that same year in November, John Hanson was elected the president of the Continental Congress, United States Congress. And they put that in order. That's be a day to be celebrated the fourth Thursday in every November.
Right.
From that point on, it's been signed in the Declaration as that day. A black man put that in place.
Right. Right. John Hanson.
I thought Obama, the Swiss insisted was the first.
No, Obama.
I thought he was the first.
John Hanson on the $2 bill too.
With the White House and the Black
Yeah,
House.
he on the
became
$2
Rainbow
bill.
House. So I know he was insistent.
Where it is, go
want to say kind to everybody here today. Welcome to our study of Ifa, the sacred religion of our ancestors. I've invited a special guest today to come in to share with us the cosmology of our people. Everybody has a creation story, but we're not telling our story. We're so busy embracing everybody else's story, but we're not embracing our story. Brother Walter, let the brother cleanse you over there. So I invited Chief. I only tell you more about himself. Chief made many trips to Africa, studied. He is a certified chieftain, and he's also a Gungun priest. And when you deal with the ancestors, you need a Gungun priestess or a priest working with you to help you to better understand what is going on. Trying to get this thing set so we don't get all that feedback. The room's not that large. We're going to open up with our libation and our ancestral recognition prayer that we do to the ancestors. After I do that, then I'll do Ifa is. After I do what Ifa is, then I will introduce Chief Bayom. And he will proceed to talk about the Yoruba cosmology, how it's important to us. But I want to say right now, we as Africans in America, or how you want to identify yourself, I say people of ebony hue. We are in the most strangest position now because the cosmos is counting on us to bring things back in balance. If you're not in balance, you can't bring nobody else back in balance. And we all need alignment. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to open up with a libation. We're going to offer, we'll be offering light and incense to our ancestors, and we're pouring a libation. That's the candle, the incense. I told everybody before that when we do this, we light up a light, or keep a candle burning to give them light. We offer incense to them to keep the way sweet and nice, and we pour libation. And we'll begin. My Petri Bishop will stand over here, and we're going to do this, and y'all can follow along. We're now prepared to do this. Only tutu.
May the water be cool and refreshed.
Only tutu.
May our road be and path be cool and refreshed.
Ili tutu.
May our home house be cool and refreshed.
Ori tutu.
May our head be cool and refreshed.
Guni tutu.
May our ancestors' doom be cool and refreshed.
Tutu laraye.
May come messenger precede all our prayers.
Ibeshi Osituru, Osituru, Osituru.
I pay homage and give praise to Ishu, Osatura.
Ibeshi Ipagun.
I pay homage and give praise to the ancestors of Doom.
Ibeshi Orisha.
I pay homage and give praise to the Orisha.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
May it be so.
May it be so. Ashe. Ashe. Chief, don't you have the ancestral prayer? One share one. You have the ancestral prayer, Chief. If not, someone hand Chief the ancestral prayer. Yeah. This we do, and I've been doing this across the country, and we're getting great reviews from it. What we'll do, I'll start it, and you follow in unison, all right? We will start now. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. I offer light and pour libation with respect and honor for all our ancestors, whose names I know, and the ones we do not know, to have lived and liberate their souls in the name of Old Damari. For it is through the love and the will and the power of Damari that all souls are saved. Group.
Awful prayer and protection by the way of the divine creator for those ancestral souls that are in darkness, forgotten, or lost. Let the light offer fade out the shadows of fear and guide them toward the arms of Old Damari.
I offer guidance to my ancestors by way of the guardian angel and protective spirits, who by the power and honor of Damari will assist them in their greater acts of evolution. Let the latter offer be a beacon of hope and serve as an escape and protect the shield from the shadows of despair.
Of love, compassion, and comfort. to those ancestral souls that are suffering and depressed. Let the light I offer lead them from discord and the miseries of their souls to the sanctuary of Olodumare and the joys of heavenly bliss.
I offer healing by way of the supreme beings on all spiritual levels to those ancestors who were abused, afflicted, deceived, enslaved, hated, lonely, misguided, neglected, oppressed, pained, saddened, traumatized, and died tragically. Let the light I offer to the soul inspire clemency, liberation, faith, and love and harmony from today onward. Group.
I offer forgiveness to the ancestral souls that want to repent sincerely for the errors of their ways in both realms of life and death. Let this light guide them to the truth, enlightenment, and righteousness of Olodumare.
In addition, all forgiveness to the ancestors that committed wrong, that have set generational lives, us that are living in barrenness. And I forgive those ancestors who past sins I've had to suffer as a result of their own nativity, ignorance, and inferior habits and traits. That the latter always serve as a reminder for us in the living to acknowledge and to learn not to make the same mistakes as the ones who lived before us.
In every way, I forgive those ancestors who need it most, so that their souls will embrace positive gratification, a new and improved way of living in the spirit realm.
That those souls will elevate in peace and awaken to eternal life, as Olodumare promised.
All together, we will, in the name of Olodumare, and through his mercy and blessings, let today be the beginning of a continued healing process for all my ancestral guides and release of all blocked and negative genetic energy patterns within the generational line, steadily healing each family member, including myself day to day, as you, the ancestors, heal on the other side. We ask you to forgive us as we have been, that we've been forgiven, and help us to heal with free-flowing positive energy for the better well-being of all concerned. And in Oludumare's name, we pray in the light and power and peace of Olodumare be with us always, so it is spoken and so it will be. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Go to what Ifa is. But have the paper. If you don't have it, you'll have it. Someone give him what Ifa is. All right. This helps to eliminate certain things. Ifa is. I'm going to share if you have with you. Chief Nick wants to give Chief only comments. We left Chief out. Thought I had enough of them. All right. Ifa is number one. Ifa is the divine messenger of Olodumare to mankind. You follow me?
Right.
Let us start. Now I see Ifa is, I'll call the number. Ifa is number one.
Ifa is
Louder.
Ifa
Is the messenger of
the divine
Olodumare to mankind. Number two, Ifa is the word of Olodumare. Number three, Ifa transcends cultures and traditions of all things, man, animals, plants, rocks, water, wind, and fire. Number four, Ifa is
explains the basis for the existence of all things, past, present, and future.
Ifa is number five.
Prescribes the spiritual
Prescribes
to all problems.
Number six, Ifa is
the
first, oldest, and trusted Jewish
spiritual of mankind.
Number seven, Orula, harbinger of the divine message of Olodumare, is thus the first and truest guardian of the universal secrets of existence. Number eight,
rare in all things, spiritual and esoteric, is the deputy of Olodumare.
Number nine,
all ritual worship and venerations are acceptable, provided they are subservient to the worship of Olodumare as outlined by
Ifa religion. Number 10,
no guidelines or signposts to salvation can lead to the path of divine truth, except that outlined by Olodumare.
Ashe. That's why we do, because it eliminates a lot of questions. You find out, and that's why I brought Chief today to come along to help us to better understand some things. That is what those of us been in religion, we've been through various things. And one of the oldest stories been told is the Albanese story. We have a story that we need to link up to because we're now going into the third quarter this year. Many of you that was here earlier read what the Odu was for this year and what it was for us as African Americans. They told us we've got to reconnect to our ancestors. We got to be able to regenerate our ancestors. Because they're struggling up there because we're struggling down because there is no recognition. They're not getting any respect. They're not getting any light. They're not getting any food, no substance. So they're begging while we're begging down here to stop that, to get their help. We got to acknowledge them while they acknowledge us. It's time for us to know our story. And at this time, it's going to be my pleasure to bring to the class, and then Baba Bayomi, Chief Bayomi, and he will tell you more about himself. Chief, we'll put you in your hands at this time.
Well, first of all, give thanks to all of the mighty and Ifa for allowing me to be here today and to bring forward this. I'm glad everybody came, this particular session. What I was asked to speak on today was a concept in human culture, a concept we call cosmology. Now, let me write this down for us. Cosmology. By definition, cosmology actually means science of the cosmos. How a people view the cosmic reality, that cosmic reality from creation to birth to death, how we view society, how you view nature, how you view the universe. It is important for African Americans to re-grasp how our ancestors viewed the universe. It's very, very important, all right? These stories that we were taught as young people growing up were the stories of another person's cosmology, Western cosmology, how we were to view the universe coming from Western culture. So it kind of threw us off a little bit, to say the least, all right? But thanks to the persistence of our ancestors, we're keeping up with it. And I've done this lecture a number of times in a number of different ways. And generally it comes out different every time, all right? But the only difference that comes out is structure and the need of what people need to hear. So as I go through this, you may see other things that have come out before. You may have heard some other things, but actually this is the same story. You know? All right, so cosmology, we understand, means science of the cosmos. How people view the universe, how African people view the universe, how Native American people view the universe. Everybody has a story, has stories of their cosmology. And one of the things in their story is the story of creation. Please have a seat, young lady. Yes. It's a story of creation. All right? Now, how many of you in here have read the Yoruba creation story? Have any of you read the Yoruba creation story? You have, huh?
I am in this book here.
All right. Okay, that's the one in EB? Yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, can you find that story for us? You share it with us?
I think it's in the very beginning.
It should be. As a matter of fact, it's either in Ejiobe or either maybe in Ejiobe. But as you're looking for that creation story, let me remind you of some things, all right? A creation story is a story. Simple as that. It's a story. So we don't need to try, we don't need to be confused. When you hear a story, it is a story. Don't confuse it with being the story. Okay? Because most cultures will tell you, well, this is the creation story. Well, do you know how many stories there are on this planet? as relates to creation? Hmm?
Everyone
There are as many stories as there are cultures. Okay? There are as many stories as there are cultures. How many of you are familiar with the Adam and Eve story in this room?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's familiar with the Adam and Eve story, right? Okay. Do you know why you're familiar with the Adam and Eve story?
So we've been told.
Aha, that's it. That's all we've been taught. You know, the only story you were ever taught relative to creation was the Adam and Eve story. So in our minds, in our consciousness, that's what we know as creation. All right? There are hundreds, literally thousands of stories, all right, that have nothing to do with Adam and Eve.
Nothing.
All right? Let me share something with you. Adam and Eve is not the creation story. Adam and Eve is a creation story within the context of a particular dynasty. All right? That dynasty is about 8,000 years old that it started. According to most historians, the story of Adam and Eve that we know in Western culture is a derivative of the story of the creation that came out of Mesopotamia or the early Babylon. All right? So it is a story that is a story off of another story. I once read a creation story that said, time never was when man was not. So people ask me that question all the time. Okay, well, which one is the oldest, or which one is in the beginning? Well, that's not really relevant when you start to think about a real cosmology. And I'm going to show you why in just a minute. All right? It's not relevant because what is relevant is the dynastic period that you are in right now and the understanding that you're getting from that story relative to that dynastic period that you're in. So Adam and Eve was only relevant to those who were establishing this dynasty. Because in that story, they put the attributes that would guide the consciousness of the people. All right? Would guide that worldview. The creation stories are the stories that set the foundation for other ideological structure in a society. So we were acquainted with the Adam and Eve story because we were setting up the Adamic dynasty, you know, or amending the Adamic dynasty. There's a book out by Zechariah Sitchin that talks about the Anunnaki, the Sumerians, one of the earliest cultures. In the Sumerian story, there's a story about Adam and Eve. But it's different than the Adam and Eve that we see in the story that we've been reading. The story that we've been reading is a story that was put back together again by those people about 325 AD. The Roman Emperor Constantine put this book back together. They called it a Bible. And in the Bible, they put a story, and that story was the story of Adam and Eve. The creation story was the story of Adam and Eve. All right? But that was a creation story in that particular Bible. Had nothing to do with Africans in the Western Hemisphere. All right? Let me make that perfectly clear. Right? Adam and Eve had nothing to do with us. Not at all. Our ancestors, when you study the realm of our ancestors we know came from West Africa. The creation story in West Africa was not the creation by virtue of Adam and Eve. All right? So it had nothing to do with us. Hey, friend, how you doing, bro? All right? Had nothing to do with us. It only became relevant to us when our ancestors were introduced to religions such as Christianity and Islam. All right? Then that creation story became relevant because that was the creation story of those particular religious thoughts, those particular consciousness. So it became relevant to us because that was the only one we knew. And we needed to know one, so we kind of held on to it. I've even read different stories about Adam and Eve's story where we blackenized them and made them with nappy hair and stuff. And even Western culture went back to Adam and Eve and said that the first Adam and Eve must have been black. And that's because melanated people have always been on the planet, y'all. So we ain't got to trip on the African thing.
No.
All right? But I'm explaining this a little bit of historical thing about this because we're going to get into the meat of cosmology. Cosmology is not just the idea of the creation story. Cosmology is also how you view the universe.
I say.
Okay? The creation story is only one aspect of it. Okay? Now, I would really enjoin all of you to really go ahead and study many creation stories. Study every creation story you can find. There's a number of creation stories in Native American culture called the stories of Turtle Island.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
All right, Turtle Island. That's the island that we're on here now. That's this landmass that we're on here right now. The indigenous people call it Turtle Island. There's a creation story about Turtle Island. Mind you, it is a creation story. So treat it that way. All right? The creation story in the Yoruba, there are many different versions, first of all, of that story. You're going to read that story. If you read it in Ifism, how far? How much is it?
It's 251 pages.
This creation story?
Not the creation story. It begins, it's several levels he goes through. You got the first attempt, the second attempt, and each one go through. So it's pretty in depth.
It's pretty in depth. But let me give you just a brief story about the creation story. You don't have to worry about the in depth.
It's really in depth.
Right. The major one that we know of, the creation story that we know of, is the story of the coming to earth of Obatala by virtue of an iron chain. The story says that in the beginning, before things existed, there existed upon the face of the waters, just the clouds upon the face of the water. The earth had not formed yet. Land had not been made hard yet. It was all just the face of the waters. Oludemartis decided that dry land needed to be created. So he sent the arch divinity of Yoruba land, who at that time was definitely Obatala. Obatala was the god, the Orisha of creation. He gave Obatala a calabash of sand, a 5-toed chicken, and seeds from the palm tree, and told him to go down and gave him the mission to come to earth and create dry land. So Obatala descended down the chain. When he got up on the face of the waters, he poured the sand upon the ground. After pouring the sand upon the ground, he placed the chicken in the sand, and the chicken scratched at the sand and scratched the sand all around and spread the dry land out. After the dry land had been spread out, he then took the seeds of the coconut tree, of the palm tree seeds, and he planted them. And this became the first palm tree. It was our tree of life. You're familiar, like in the Hebrew culture, they have the tree of life. In the European culture, Adam and Eve story, they have the tree of the good and evil, that Adam and Eve ate the apple off of, right? Okay. Where in our story, we have our own tree of life. It's the palm tree. And there were 16 branches to this palm tree. These 16 branches were the 16 Odui Fa, the 16 containers of wisdom and knowledge and information. So this creation story is a creation story that is more in tune to our understanding of how creation happened. Once you start to study Orisha, you start to study the cosmology, you start to really understand what the Orisha and what these gods were about. Obatala was the force in the universe that was creativity. Okay? So when you talk about Obatala now, the Orisha Obatala, and we personify this Orisha, remember that this was a natural force in nature. All right? The gods, our ancestral representations were natural forces in nature. And that's how we related to them. All right? Not so much personified like the Greek gods that we know of. All right? So that's the creation story. Now, let's go into cosmology a little bit different. Science of the cosmos. Western science tells us that everything began how? They call it what? The Big Bang.
Big Bang.
The Big Bang, right. And say from the Big Bang, everything emanated out from one central point in the universe, right?
Sure.
Then as everything started to go outward, what was created on Earth was created in the microcosm of what Earth was about. Okay? Now, how do we view the universe? Our ancient ancestors had these same kinds of stories. The Egyptians, the Yoruba, the Dogon, had these same kinds of stories about the universe. So, from a cosmological structure standpoint, here's what we're looking at. The universe. Or we could say just the world. Our world. Because most of our cultures have cosmologies that began basically with the understanding of the world, and the world is a microcosm of the macrocosm. Okay, so you don't have to say, well, the universe of universes and universes. Once you have the microcosm of the macrocosm, then you know that that's the pattern. The ancient Egyptians taught us, in the Hermetic principles, taught us the principles of duality. And then once creation came into being, it became dual. But here we go. Before creation came into being, there was the concept of Olorun. Olorun. Olorun is the concept of the creator that is beyond definition.
Beyond definition.
That is beyond definition. Olorun. As a matter of fact, literally the word means owner of heaven, or said to mean owner of heaven. But by definition, the word has no definition. You cannot describe this attribute of the creator.
I say.
It is only a word that describes that you cannot describe it.
I say.
All right? So different than the Christian God, the moment in Christianity you say God, he, you've just done what? Described.
Yeah, you described it.
You described the God.
Identified.
You gave it a description. God, he. Olorun is beyond God, he. All right? Olorun is the owner of heaven. It's similar to the concept in Oriental culture. They say, the book of the Tao says, the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao.
I say.
All right? The Tao can be named is not the eternal Tao. And that word that y'all see when you're reading Chinese text is spelled T-A-O. It's not Tao. It's pronounced Tao. Okay? The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. The eternal Tao in a cosmology is really understandable because in the mind of the humans, in the mind of most human cultures, there's always something that is beyond your understanding. No matter how wise you are, you have to have something that is beyond. That's what makes the universe the universe. The universe is a part of universes. And the ancients all had a concept in their cosmology of that which was beyond definition, that which was beyond. In the Yoruba, we call it Olorun. All right?
I say.
Y'all travel with me now. We're going to go a little bit further in this cosmology. The next level of understanding of what the concept of God or the creator was, in the Yoruba, we call it what? Olodumare. Now, Olodumare is the concept of God, all right? Similar to every other concept of God in every other culture that says this is the manifestation of. In other words, they said that everything in the universe that is created is the God. All right? Olodumare is the essence of everything. Olodumare is the manifestation of everything. Olodumare manifests everything. Olodumare is manifest as everything. You get me? Huh? You see, in the Yoruba culture, there is no separation. Or they see separation as a part of a whole as opposed to separation being separate entities. So Olodumare is the manifest God. Now you can bring into the reality of God, he and she, or whatever you want to work with it. But generally in the Yoruba, they say Olodumare. They don't say Olodumare, he or she. They will say Olodumare, he and she, or he, she. In the Dogon culture, the Nomo were hermaphrodites. You know what hermaphrodites are?
Yeah.
What are hermaphrodites?
Somebody with both male and female parts.
We got a scholar in the room. Good. Shit. The gods were male and female. There was no separation between the two. At one time in our ancient history, we viewed things in that way. We viewed that everything had male and female attributes. Even to this day, we still view things in that way. You have to view it that way because you are a living being, and if you are a living being, that means the flux of life is going on inside of you. And as we go through this cosmology structure thing I'm talking about here, you're going to understand why you have to have male qualities and female qualities in order to have life. Okay? If you don't have both qualities, you're not going to have life. The life force is not going to be there. I'm sure some scientists in the room know the fact that you don't get no electricity with just a positive charge. You have to have what? A negative charge, right? You have to have the two opposites together. The opposite, you have to have the positive charge and the negative charge to get light. You can't put a negative charge with another negative charge and get nothing. You can't put a positive charge with another positive charge and get light. You can't get it. It don't happen. You have to put the positive and the negative together. So Olodumare is the male and female principle in the universe, manifest. Olodumare is God. You know, in the same sense in Christianity, when they say, the Lord, our Father, which art in heaven, God, which in this, the God, the God. All right? So now we got the Creator beyond knowing, the concept of the Creator beyond knowing, and now we got the known God, the known Creator. One being, one reality. And in this cosmology, it is represented by the circle. The complete circle, 360 degrees of knowledge, wisdom, everything. That's who we got. That's who God is. God is the totality of everything. You see? And this is how the African viewed his reality. Now, there's a prayer that we pray in Ifa. It says, Olodumare Ajuba, Orumila Ileri Pin, Ibikeji Olodumare. Ileri Pin means witness of faith. Orumila was witness of faith. Second to Olodumare. So right under this one, we have Orumila. Now, everybody knows what Orumila is about. Orumila is also interchangeable with the name we call, say, it's what? Ifa. Okay? Ifa and Orumila are interchangeable words. Orumila is said to be the prophet himself. Ifa is the system. But in our culture, they're both interchangeable. So if somebody tells you, say, well, I'm talking about Ifa, they may be talking about the prophet, they may be talking about the system itself. They're one and the same anyway. All right? So that is the second to Olodumare. Second to Olodumare is Orumila. Now, the Yoruba view the universe the same way most people view the universe. They view the universe as an above and a below. The concept of above is called what? The In Europe, it's called Orun. Orun may be similar to heaven, all right? But I get you, the African Orun is not the Christian heaven. So don't get yourselves confused, all right? Orun is closer to the understanding, like Native American culture, they call it the abode of the ancestors. And I'm gonna show you why they would call it that in just a minute. The abode of the gods is Orun. Orun is the spiritual realm. All right, Orun is the metaphysical realm. So Orun is not necessarily just some place with some clouds and you're gonna hang around and play harps. You know? Orun is the abode of the ancestors, the abode of the gods, the metaphysical realm. Above Orun, on the lower level, below, it's called Aye. Aye. You say that? Aye. Aye. Aye is the world. Loosely interpreted as the world, the manifest world. All right, everything you see here is Aye, is in the world, according to the Yoruba. Now we're in the Yoruba cosmology. Now we're studying how our ancient ancestors viewed the universe. We've come from Olodumare, so we come from Orun to Olodumare to Orunmila, now to Orun, and now to the earth. All right? So the Yoruba, like other ancient people, saw the world in its duality. Remember, I said earlier that when things start to manifest, you start to see everything start manifesting dual. You know, there's a higher and there's a lower. You see? The higher realm, we always call it Orun. We call it the heavens. There's a story, there's a particular movie I would enjoin you to watch. It's called Black Robe. So, write it down. Those of you who got internet, you can go online and watch this movie called Black Robe. It is the story of the Jesuit priesthood. When they came to America, they were trying to transform or educate the Iroquois Indians. All right? And they wore these long black robes, and the Native Americans used to always look at them and they called them, say, oh, that's Black Robe. You know? But there's a particular scene in that movie that is very, very enlightening. There's a discussion between Black Robe, one of the Jesuit priests, right, and one of the Native Iroquois. There's a discussion between the two. And as you know, the Jesuits were all, like all Christians, they were always pushing their idea on everybody else. Oh, you got to repent and go and come and make Jesus come into your heart, and then you don't worry, you have to worry about nothing, you will die and go to heaven in Jesus' name. You got to do that, right? That's what the Jesuits was pushing on the Native culture, right? So one evening, they were sitting by the campsite discussing their cosmology. And the Native guy asked Black Robe, he says, hey, Black Robe, you said we're going to accept your Jesus and go to this heaven, right? He said, oh, yes, you must do this. You must repent your sins and go to heaven in Jesus' name, you know, so that you will live forever. He says, tell you what, he said, in your Christian heaven, can we smoke our peace pipes, our tobacco? He said, oh, no, no, no. You will not need of those things in the heavens. You will not need of those things. All you'll need is God. Native brother looked at the other Native brother and said, you know about this Black Robe's heaven, you know? Can't smoke tobacco. And to the Native American in his culture, in his concept of Orun, in their concept of the heavens, to be able to smoke tobacco was a height. It was a beautiful thing. So they knew that their heaven had where you could smoke much tobacco as you want. Then he asked him, he says, hey, Black Robe, in your heaven, when we accept this Jesus and go through all of that, he says, can you have your woman and kind of ditch it or something? Black Robe says, oh, no, you can't do that. No, you will not have need of that in heaven. You will have Jesus there, and you will only need Jesus in heaven. Native American brother looked over at the other one, leaned over and says, I don't think I'm going to Black Robe heaven. In the Native American mind, the concept of heaven was by virtue of his own culture. His heaven, his everlastingness, was defined by virtue of what brought pleasure to him and his family and him and his culture, through his culture. You see? So that's why we have Orun as our concept. You know, we used to have a thing back in the day, in the revolutionary days, when we were struggling, it was saying about going to heaven. And I used to tell a lot of them, I said, you know, I don't think I want to go to the white man's heaven, no way. Right. Next thing you know, we have us up there shining shoes and shit. It's going to be the same thing. Because his heaven is going to be his idea. Right. And his idea is to enslave me. And see, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder too. You know, I grew up at a time, I remember colored and white water fountains. All right. I remember going to sit on the back of the bus. I remember going in the back of places to eat. You know, some of us are that young. Okay? And we remember it. All right? And so it gave us another edge. So when we heard these kinds of stories, it kind of like said, okay, it validates this for us. Get rid of the bullshit and come on, let's build something new. All right? But let's keep going now because I want to take y'all through this before we get time. Keep me in terms of the time, all right? I got you. Okay? Because I want to make sure we got it going. So in this cosmology, in this how we view the universe, we've established Olu Dumare and Orunmila. Now, on this first level in the heavens, and we always use the circle as a symbol that connects everything to everything. On the first level, so Orunmila, we have the Orisha. The Orisha are the spiritual beings, the essence of the water. Okay? The spirit of the water is Orisha. The spirit of a mountain is Orisha. The spirit of the earth is Orisha. When Europeans first came to Africa and said, oh, they're worshiping many gods, you know? Well, they came to that conclusion out of their own consciousness and understanding. They didn't really ask us what we were doing. They just described it according to their own situation. So they came back and said, oh, yeah, they worship many gods. They don't worship one God. Totally a fallacy. Totally a fallacy. But we do have all of these spiritual entities that we have defined, all right, so that we can understand the nature of these entities and the nature of the entities that we were dealing with in their definition. So we have Orishas on that level, all right? We have nature spirits. They're spirits in nature. And nature spirits are like the same spirits, you know, the ocean. The spirit of the ocean is a nature spirit, you know? The spirit of a tree, you know, the spirit of anything in nature. We have all of those, you know? Orisha, the ancestral spirits. Now, these ancestral spirits, in the Yoruba, we have a concept called Egungun. Egungun is the aspect of being able to deify your ancestors. You know what I mean by deify? Can somebody tell me what deify means? It means to make God-like. You see, your ancestors are made God-like through the process of, in the Yoruba, called Egungun. All right? So that means that our ancestors take on the character of, quote unquote, the gods. And why wouldn't they? Why would we be sitting there worshiping other images of the God that didn't look like us? It's just very plain. It's not, you know, Chinese people, when you go to their temples, they have images of the God. It look like who? Chinese people. European people, when you go to Europe, Their big temples and tabernacles, all of their gods and angels and everything look like who?
Yeah.
Europeans. You see? So it was the same way with us in Africa, and you see a lot of it in this room.
Oh, yeah.
All right? But what happened to us is that when we didn't know our own cosmology, they demonized these energies and made us think these were the bad things.
Yeah.
You know? They even took a word and it took one word and demonized that one word, and it like turned around people's thinking about our whole culture. That word was voodoo. They made voodoo evil.
I say.
And when they made voodoo evil, what that did, that put a damper on our culture. Because voodoo was us. If you go to West Africa right now and you go to Benin and you ask them about voodoo, they'll say, oh yes, come, well, let us worship voodoo. Because to them, the word voodoo means spirit. Mm-hmm. It's part of this cosmology up here. What they're working with here.
I say.
All right? The next round of being and spirits. Now I'm going to show you some of the cosmology because up here, everything is metaphysical. In a room, it's beyond physical. But it exists in our consciousness. All right?
That's it.
It exists in our consciousness. All right? So on this one, you have more nature spirits. All right? Orisha, Egun, Egun, Egun. Egun are ancestors who haven't been deified. They're just spirits hanging out in cosmos. Mm-hmm. You know, Uncle Joe and them, mm-hmm. You know, Mama Liz and them, you know. But then you got other ancestors like Egungun, like in this one where we said Egungun. Egungun ancestors that have been deified is the Martin Luther Kings, the Harriet Tubmans, the ones we've given energy, the ones we've given reverence to. You see? Shaka Zulu, you know, Nzinga, Queen Nzinga, you know. Actually, our leaders became our ancestral gods. They became the deities. You see? They came out of our leadership. You know, who else would represent the gods on earth but the leadership? So, but Egon, down here you also got nature spirits. And in this instance, you got animals, birds, you know, and all of the crustaceans therein, you know, insects and everything. All right? But you got the spirit of these things. Down here, the manifestation of it happens. Human beings on this level. Animals manifest. I put them up here. They're not supposed to be up there. They're supposed to be down here. My bad. My bad. You got nature spirits. They're good. Nature spirit. Human beings, animals. All on this level. Down here, you have on this circle, the next circle, that connects with the priesthood. This is where you find your priesthood. P-R-I-E-S-T. Priesthoods, kings and queens, etc. I say etc. because all the people in positions of power in African culture are directly connected to the Egungun, to the Orisha, to the nature spirits. All the people in nature, human beings, are connected to the spirits that are in the ancestral spirits. There's an ancestors here. Yeah, there we go. Ancestors. Yeah. To the ancestral spirits. Because that's who we are. In heaven, we are ancestors. You see? In heaven, we are ancestors. On earth, we're human beings. In heaven, we are nature spirits. We are animals. The animals are nature spirits, become nature spirits. And you find that in the Native American culture a lot. In the Native American culture, you have a concept called power animals. All right? You even have in astrology, you have reference to the nature of animals. You know, like they'll tell you in a minute, oh, I'm a Taurus bull. You know, it's the nature of the animal that humans are attaching themselves with. And it's a spiritual thing. So from a cosmological standpoint, it gives you an understanding. Your own understanding gives you something to work with. All right? It gives you something that is defined by you, is defined of you to work with. Europeans gave us their cosmology. All right? So consequently, we ended up working with Europeans. Their cosmology gave them the advantage. For instance, did y'all know, did anybody here know anybody with real bad hair, nappy hair? Y'all know anybody like that? You know somebody like that? Yeah. Nappy hair is bad hair.
They say too.
Okay. Now, I was waiting on the rebellion. Yeah. Back in the day, we had a whole battle with that.
I see.
And I'm going to show you how that was hooked up cosmologically. Because in your cosmological understanding, you have the idea that there are things that are good and things that are what? Bad. So then, if you put nappy hair in the bad category, you just changed the cosmology.
I see.
This is why it's important to have an understanding of your own cosmology. All right? Because it's out of your own cosmology where the definition of yourself is going to come from. You see? Your own standard of beauty will come from your own cosmology, your own understanding of beauty. If nappy hair is considered bad hair, then you're going to be looking at, oh, that's bad hair, that's ugly. You develop that attitude. That ain't really indigenous of you. If big lips and dark skin is looked upon and looked down, then you develop that as your understanding. So our cosmology has to reflect who we are. Reflect our standards of beauty. Our standards of beauty must reflect who we are. Our goals must reflect who we are through our vision of the universe, of how it works. Now, there are a number of other charts in this cosmological thing. I can't do a whole thing on cosmology in just one session. But I'm hoping right now to be able to give you enough to chew on, to make you thirsty, and to make you hungry, and make you go ahead and do your research. Remember that this culture is not a culture of something that we're saying that you need to come follow us. This culture is a culture without hoping that every brain, every mind in here becomes an incubator for a thought, an incubator for research. Because we are at a point in our culture where we have to re-invoke the ideals of our ancestors back into our normal, common way of thinking. And that means that we have to do the research. In order to do the research, we have to have time, we have to have institutions. Pan-African has been an institution that has helped us tremendously be able to do the research on African culture. So I'm not standing in front of you right now trying to change your belief system. No. I'm standing presenting information in front of you, and I want you to take this information and go back to your drawing boards and do the research. I generally tell people, don't believe nothing I say.
Do the research.
Do the research, do the work. Progress of a people will be progress by virtue of their own ability to do the work. It's not based on leaders. It's based on people. You see? The civil rights movement wasn't won by Martin Luther King. He didn't win the civil rights movement. The masses of people won the civil rights movement. They had to do something because there were masses of people who had come to a conclusion, had done their research, had done their energy, had taken their energy and said, oh, well, yeah, we got to do this here. The same thing will happen for Africans in America if we do the research relative to our culture. You know, if we start to look at the examples of Africa, look at the examples of Native America, all right, and look how they thought. not necessarily what they thought. Don't get that confused. Look at how they thought. Like our quest has always been to inspire people on how to think, not necessarily telling you what to think. All right? You don't need to tell you what to think. Got your own mind. Think what you want to think. Think what you think you need to think. But I can suggest structure. I can suggest ideas on how to think. Once we all get that kind of rhythm in our situations, then we will, as a people, are going to make enormous amounts of progress, and you'll see it. All right? We won't even argue about this and that and this because our consciousness will be open. We have to open up our consciousness so that the chains of what slavery put upon us will not influence our decisions. You break the chains first on the mind, then the body will follow. I grew up in an era in the late 60s and early 70s where there was a group named Parliament Funkadelic.
Right.
And they put out a tune one time. I was walking down the street with my little phones on, my transistor radio on the side of my head. And they come in, new song by Parliament Funkadelic. Says, free your mind and your ass will follow.
Yeah.
I said, cool. This is cool, all right. You know? It was the first time someone ever said to me, free my mind. But I thought my mind was free. I said, free from what?
Yeah.
I started investigating. I said, yeah, wait a minute, free my mind, free your mind. And the ass will follow.
You remember one by the impressions of why don't you check out your mind?
Why don't you check out your mind? Yes.
Yeah.
Grew up in that era too. Curtis is still my main.
Oh,
Yeah, Curtis is still my main. But see, that was a consciousness, a time and a consciousness. You see, that we were going through. Now we're going through another time in consciousness where there's an elevation. See, because back in those days, I couldn't have did this workshop on cosmology. You see? Not out in the open, like they say, in front of God and everybody. I'd have to do it underground. But now we're in a time where this is going to become common knowledge. And the greatest thing I would love to see is that at the next class, some of you come back and say, oh, I was doing this research, and guess what I found? Yeah, that the Yoruba Smith, whoa. We hope to inspire more research, more development. We hope to inspire this group becomes a council and begins to understand, begins to address the different issues relative to the community, relative to self. All right? By using the way our ancestors used these thoughts and ideas. Now, I'd also suggest that you could also study the Egyptian creation stories. All right? Because the Egyptian creation stories, the Dogon people of Mali, also have wonderful creation stories. Okay? Look at those creation stories. Check out how those thoughts began, how those ideas began. Look at the cosmos, how they viewed the cosmos. It blew Western scientists away that the Dogon, all right, was so deep that they had calculations of stars and planets that Western science didn't even see them yet. Hadn't even seen them. The Dogon knew about Sirius B, even before European technology got a chance to look through their scopes and see it. And then they got in and looked up and said, oh yeah, they're right. Where them niggas get that shit? The Dogon had patterns, had charts of the solar system that we live in. Had patterns and charts of the solar system before Europeans, they were still thinking the world was flat.
Yeah.
So our ancestors had knowledge of information relative to the cosmos even more than we could ever realize. And I'm gonna tell you something. Once you open up that channel of energy to your ancestors, that knowledge comes pouring in. If you ever want your knowledge to come about, open the way to your ancestors. venerate your ancestors. And I'm gonna give you one last piece of information here on this before I stop. The ancestors. DNA. They've been telling us about it. We've been studying about it. We know that it's that code of something that's in our, something that makes us who we are. Where does our DNA come from?
Ancestors.
The sum total of who we are is in the DNA. All of the DNA comes from who? Our ancestors. That's why when you go to Ancestry.com, you put that little slobber on there and they send it back and say, oh yeah, your ancestors come from over here and over there and over here and over there. They figured out how to trace it down now. It is your ancestors. Now, give you another little piece of our woe here. When you venerate your ancestors, the act of venerating your ancestors does what to your ancestry? Revitalize them. And revitalize. In that, remember now, in our cosmology, you can't destroy nothing.
No.
You can't create nor destroy nothing. You can only transform it. When a baby is born and being reborn into this earth, it's a part of that transformation of the soul of the baby. When it dies, you transform and go back into the earth. So in our consciousness, you cannot create anything. So everything that is a part of the recreation of what was. You are the recreation of the knowledge and wisdom of your ancestors. When you venerate your ancestors and that information starts to come to surface again, this makes you become the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's of the past. You know, this makes you become the kings and the queens and the high priests and priestesses. You know, that knowledge and information becomes a part of you again. And on a spiritual level, you cannot evolve spiritually but by virtue of your ancestors. All through DNA. Study DNA. Let's go ahead and study it. Figure it out. What is that about DNA? What is it about our culture that helps us even more? On a cosmological level, it helps us to know that the dispensation of energy, we had a concept of the heavens. We had a concept of what was in the spiritual world and what was in the mundane world. We call the concept Orun. We call the concept on earth, IEA, the earth. We had a concept of that. We had understanding of IEA, what goes on in the world. We had a concept of what goes on in the heavens. Our ancient ancestors, the Egyptians, told us a long time ago, said, as above, what? So below. So below. As below, so above. We said, oh, okay. But what it is going on in heaven is the same thing going on down here. That's why that Native American told Black man he wasn't going to his heaven.
It's wrong.
Because what was going on earth wasn't going on in his heaven.
Right.
You see? There's also another tribe and group of people that you need to study here in the United States called the Hopi Indians. In Arizona. Study everything about the Hopi.
Next to the Maya.
Yes, they were next to the Mayans.
Next to the Maya.
You know, the Hopi were a very mystical group of people who, once you start to study these things, you're going to watch and see your own consciousness start to open up. You know, these concepts will free your mind. Your mind wants to be operating on another level. Things will start to come to you that weren't coming to you before. Understandings will get to you that you didn't understand that before. But now you're getting ready to understand it. We're getting close to that time.
One question, Chief Baba.
You
said that in order to act, how do we go about accessing our ancestors to really develop? Because a lot of them still in the Christian mode. How do you go about doing that? Would be the question.
Reggie. This week.
He worked last night.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah,
you sit down, man.
What's wrong?
Really. I think
So
it's
your question
important.
again?
How do we go about venerating our ancestors to empower ourselves and them?
There's a number of ways. Right? There's an African proverb that says, when you call the name of an ancestor, that ancestor does what? Lives again.
Lives again.
Just by calling the name of the ancestor. Thank you, sister. Just by calling the name. So, the concept of venerating is when you hear Baba up here calling the names of ancestors. Won't you buy Malcolm X? Won't you buy, you know?
Yeah.
Just by saying the name of your ancestor revitalizes that energy. Okay, because everything, as we know, is energy, right?
That's
Right.
Okay, everything is energy. You can't create nor destroy energy. So your ancestors who were in energy field themselves, that energy field still exists.
Sure.
Yes.
I got a question. Okay, what if when this person was on Earth, they didn't have a positive energy field? Like, what if that was a bad? I don't want to say bad,
That's easy.
but
That's easy to deal with. Then you do exactly what Baba was doing in his prayer. You elevate them. You pray for them.
Yeah, that's right.
Even if your ancestor, like I had an ancestor, Uncle Leroy, Uncle Leon. I had Uncle Leon. He was a twin, right? He was a junkie. But I loved Uncle Leon.
Ancestral prayer.
So when I prayed to my ancestors and I call Uncle Leon, I call Uncle Leon out of that darkness that he was in.
Ashe.
And so Uncle Leon, you can elevate yourself.
Elevate yourself.
You see?
okay, so you talk to them positively while they're in the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you kind of like motivation, like
Absolutely.
spirit motivation. Okay.
Just like if I'm talking to him, I'm talking to you here now. Yes, sir.
Okay, now this was getting a little confusing. Now you say as it is above, as it is below, right? Okay, now what you just mentioned, if you have these ancestors that were negatively oriented here, and you had someone that you thought the most of,
right?
Now you're gonna, as above, as below, these same energies are gonna be happening
in heaven.
Above, and because they're gonna be fighting up there too, right?
Absolutely.
Now, what you were just saying now, why would you still want to, if you could, elevate this one that you know was negative here?
Because here's the deal. To describe someone in a singularity is an injustice. For instance, I could say my uncle, I was talking about Uncle Leon, right? My Uncle Leroy, right? Uncle Leon. He was a junkie. So I knew he was a junkie, and I didn't want to perpetuate junkieism, heroinism. I didn't want to call him what he might mess around and have me trying to be naughty and going to get a fix, So I elevated him, and I would call upon him for the positive side of him. He was a dynamite carpenter. So when I needed information about carpentry, I would call upon him in that light. You see? Because here's the deal. Remember, everything is in duality, so nobody is totally evil.
Right.
Nobody is totally good. You see, we are all fluctuate between the duality of life. That's the bottom line, that's the crux of life. So we have to be careful when we try to define each other in one light. Oh, that's a good person. Oh, he's just so good. He's so good. Then you go downstairs and you see him shooting heroin. You know what I'm saying? You say, oh, I thought he was good. He was good. Oh, she was good. She was the good that she is. But she has the dark side also. So we all have our quote unquote dark side. So venerating it and working with it is what you have to do. Yes, sir.
Yeah, on that same level they're talking about, we got to remember what happened to our peoples.
Yeah.
So if they died with the negative side or positive side, who caused this problem?
Right.
See, so you just pray for the best, and one of them, because they've been through these changes.
And the act of praying for them is the ritual, and we have lots of rituals. We have a ritual that we do. We call our ancestors from the Christian heavens and the Christian hells. We call them back. Tell them to come up out of there. Because if they leave this plane of existence, think they're going to a Christian hell, then they may be existing in that consciousness in the spirit realm.
Right.
So we call them out of that. Say, man, come on out of that. And let's go into a room, the abode of the ancestors. In the abode of the ancestors, the concept of salvation is just as real as it is right here on earth. So we have to struggle with that aspect of our ancestry. We have to struggle with the aspect of our ancestry that sold us into slavery. I witnessed that when I went to Africa. I was really, tied into going to Africa, and I'm all excited about going to Africa, get my stuff together, And who do I run into? Families of those who sold our ancestors into slavery. That's what I ran into, point blank. Wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Wasn't no figuring it out. It was that whole I said, oh wow, I got to handle this here now. So I had to deal with myself spiritually, and my social and political consciousness wasn't going to still sit up and perpetuate that. You see? Because I've been a revolutionary all my life, and I'm going to do that the rest of this life and the next one I come and do. All right? So I had to work with the energy. So the answer to your question is that we got to work with all of these forces and all. There's a struggle going on every level. Ain't no pie falling out the sky gonna come down here and save us. Okay? We are the salvation that we are. We have to approach our own salvation, whether it's on a metaphysical level or a physical level. So when you call on your ancestors, I remember Ashura Toshiwe, a lady used to be here, a priestess. She used to have a statement about that, sister. She used to say, I call on my ancestors of light and progress. I call on my other ancestors and offer them the same light and progress. You see? Mm-hmm. So you're still a part of the struggle. Now, when you grow into this culture and you go through things what Baba make you aware of, all right? You get maybe initiated and somebody becomes a priest or a priestess in here, then you learn things while you're on that journey. You learn different things to do to offset those energies. All right? So we can't teach all of that in one workshop, but we can make you aware of it. Any more questions? All right, I'm sure there are more, and you can ask them later. I'm going to let Baba have his program back now. And I thank you for allowing me to come in front of you and say what I had to say and share with you what we have to share.
In the universe, I do pay. Those that do not have the ancestral prayer, thanks to Ifa and the Orishas and the other Babas, they've created a model. Not what you want, but it's a model prayer. The Christians, they got our Father prayer, that's a model prayer. Well, let me tell you something. Being a former bishop, ordained elder, and have a doctorate degree in theology, there was no such thing at the time. They did what they call cast out of dafar, and you ask through the oracles. But when the Europeans took the church over, they wanted to set you on another course, so they gave you a thing called praying. Prayer from root word means to play upon, take advantage of. Do you follow me? We didn't do no praying because we had a problem. We go to the priest or priestess, and they would dafar, cast out, and we get our answers direct. If you study your Bible, everybody, all the prophets and apostles, even King David, when in trouble, they went and called the priest who brought the ephod. They would cast lots and get the answer. No guessing, hoping you got the answer. We had the answer. Baba Payomi is a Gungun priest. He know how to dafar and get answers. How to get yourself back in alignment. But with your ancestors, we can communicate through dafar and talk to Uncle Leroy. We can talk to Aunt Susie, and they will give us answers direct through the oracles. Once things go through the changes of evolution back through, Uncle Leroy is not bad no more. Well, we got this prayer. You need to, if those who want a copy, get a copy. It don't cost you a dime. I want you to look at it because in one part it says, in the latter part, the beginning it says, I offer light and pour libation. That's a sign of respect. I offer light and pour libation with respect, and offer all my ancestors whose name I know and they do not know. The minute we do not know, but they'll never know all our answers do. Can you go back 300 million years and give me all your ancestors?
Because we talking about right here, beloveds, go back 300 million years. How old is the blood in your body? Can you tell me how old is your blood? Okay, but I can check your blood and go back through history on you, who your grandmother, and what the disease they have, because the blood, the DNA is the key. I say. And we want to reconnect that. We have the power to put all the bad good and the good back what's supposed to be. Let me say something right now. Whether you're aware or not, some people always late. They have a time to get in there. I want to make you aware of something. And that is, as the earth is going back to her metamorphosis, her changing, do you not know that what was once north is now south? And what south once was north, and we're about to do it again? NASA already studied that the earth is about to do a flip. And also the sun is doing a flip. Oh, I brought the documentation. I believe in documentation this kind of conversation. NASA science.org. They're studying right now how that the sun is about to go back to another position. He talked about the earth. It says hidden portals in the earth's magnetic field. There are portals where energy comes through that we communicate through in Yoruba. We talk to the ancestors through those portals. I mean, I read the Bible. They said, don't be afraid. We ain't all you read the Bible. It says in the Bible, being what it was, be careful how you entertain strangers, but some have entertained angels unaware. Ashe? I dang what they got here. The book of Job talk about the sons of God ascending and descending. Portals, people. Eva talked about it from top to bottom, how everything comes to a certain portal and came here. Eva tells you how to access these things. Eva is the black man's hope for the day. Because it makes us go back to give respect, which you lost. Because we don't respect no more. Morals be lost. Why? Take another man's what? Ideology. Another man's culture. We got to go back and reunite to what? That which belongs to us. Being a Christian minister for many years that I was, I found out the more you talk about Jason, the more powerful he became. Whether you liked him or not, everything other than that name. The name is mythical, never exists, but you made it real and you start putting energy into it. This table becomes real when we talk about it. We got to go back and straighten things out. I have a copy of the ancestral prayer and what Ephah is. I'm not trying to get you to join Ephah because you can't join Ephah. You can't join. It ain't like going joining the moms or joining the Mason or joining the church. You cannot join them. You know why you can't join? You can tell me. Tell again. I done told you. But you have to do what? You have to what? Reconnect. That's the key. And all of us that are not aware of what we're talking about needs to reconnect. We've been coming here every third Saturday for 10, 12 months. I want to invite y'all to come back. We showed the menu the uninitiated forms of communication with the four power cells, how to divine and get answers, because when you go out and you make bad choices because you don't have no guidance, this won't get it. Hope for answer. Oh God, get this job. Please, Jesus. Then you walk in there and then tonight, now you're mad at Jesus. All jobs ain't for you. Gotta ask the right question. Not, do I want this job? Is this job for me? Do I want this man? Is this man for me? It's one for me. It helps you not quit making bad choices. But I want you to, today I brought cheating because we as black people in this land, the name is called Turtle Island, which is along the tongue of Cherokee, also learned that we, at one time, it was called Ife, according to the cosmology by Obatala. When he came down, you heard Chief tell a story about putting the sand down and the chicken kicking it all out, and the chameleon walking on it and planting the seed. The word Ife, or the word, no, Ife means spread out land. This is one all of ours. The whole thing was ours. Somebody came in and cut it up, Say, this is your piece, this is my piece. We as, shall I say, indigenous people, we own nothing because we didn't make it. But we respect all because we all know everything has spirit and due respect. Ashe? Ashe. And those who want a copy of the ancestral prayer to help you take home, set up your ancestral altar. I'm going to say this as I come, we got 45 minutes. Those of you that maybe not my age, but a long time ago when you went to visit grandma and Amy, they had pictures of ancestors all through the house. Back in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, you walk in the house, look at the wall, you had all kinds of kinfolks all through the house, right? After the 70s, you walk in the house, you had JFK, Martin Luther, and Jesus. Took all the ancestors down off the wall, put them in little bags and little books, and hid them out. Now you got MLK, JC, and Martin. Well, go back and dig them out the box, put them back on the wall, take JC down because he don't exist. And you know who JFK was, that's what other folks, take him down too. Leave Martin at the restaurant and begin to what? Regenerate things. So when your child walked in the house and said, Mama, who is this? Huh? Who is this? Who is this? You must be able to tell them. To identify. What I hated the most doing this a number of years ago when you saw you give a child a dog, you give a child a black child a white dog. You just messed him up. I want to say this. I'm in Louisiana, in Tallulah, Louisiana. And I'm writing the second part of the first part of my book, The Other Side of Slavery, the Untold Story. I had a chance to meet a young black man, Lieutenant Colonel Porter Johnson. He bought one of the plantations, Sister Queen Priestess. And in walking through the plantation, he showed me where the slaves was buried. Why we gonna build that house on top of them? It's time to Portuguese people. Tell them, lift them folks up and let them get all the hell they can stand. The land was owned by a group of black people called the Natchez Indians. They were black people, now known as Washita. They had the money, they were Washita. The Natchez Indians were prehistoric blacks who owned all this land from New Orleans all the way across. The Empress died a few months ago, the granddaughter of the Empress, who became the Empress. Why am I saying this? We got to call them back up. We got to call all those things back up. We got to give them back that light. Or everybody, if you don't have, please get a copy of this, the Ancestral Healing Prayer, because what you're saying, they need healing. One part of this, I'm going to get my pen to be to read before I close. And I like the latter part. How many of you have this particular prayer we brought up today? You missed because you weren't here. You read it before you know about it. I got calls about you all out of Illinois and Chicago. Said, who that ever crying on that to read that prayer? I said, I want to know young priestesses. But the latter part addressed what you talked about. The latter part, right here, the end.
In addition, I forgive those ancestors.
First of all, you got to forgive that ancestor
that committed wrongs that have set their generational line, us that are living.
The way you said that he was bad, left out here bad, so we don't look at him right. I've got to forgive that ancestor because he did it because he was dealing on another man's culture and cosmology and idea. He'd been bamboozled, as Michael said. He'd been hoodwinked and camel-toed. He didn't have his own mind. I love Dr. Nana Akbar. He has a book called Changing Him of Psychological Slavery. A lot of our folks were hoodwinked. They were duped. They didn't have their mind. They had another man's mind. You know what the funny thing is? Is to take a young puppy, say a young lamb, and put it with a bunch of dogs. What's going to happen, sister? Say it again. Why? He's out of his element, right? So if you take a people out of the element and put them in another element, they're going to what? Act like that's what's around them. So one day, a big ram walked up to him and said, hey, look, man, you ain't like them. Quit trying to bark. You can't bark. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? Then when he hear him, then he gets out, you know what? You got a point. Let me get up out of here and get my own kind. Empower my own self. They did I used it a lot of times when I was pastoring in the church. And I said, you can be conditioned to a situation and you'll stay there.
Berkeley University in California took some fleas off a dog, never heard of this, and got a mason jar about this high and put holes in the top of it. Put all them fleas in there. And then they go, boop, 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 and finally, no, boop, boop. They got addicted because they couldn't get out. They removed the top off the jar. They still wouldn't come out. But one day they messed around and put up. You got revolutionists? Be in there. He got in there, he jumped up. They saw him jump up and come back down. No boop boop. He jumped again. No boop. Next time they all started jumping. They followed what? The revolutionists. They all got to jump. We are just like that, people. Someone has to ignite the fire in our gut to go back and reclaim what? Who we are. Quit trying to be somebody that you're not and reclaim what you can't do if you don't know where to start. You understand? So what we tell you, don't believe nothing they're saying, do what? Do the research. Because there's more stories than Adam and Eve out there. A book written by Reverend James Robert Johnson, All the Creation Stories. It's for even if there's a creation story. Look him up, check it out. And tell you what, you'll be surprised. And go online. So they're going to tell you about, it's just thousands of them out there. Some you ain't never heard of out of the Amazon. They ain't wrote their story yet. Only the Jews of the so-called Western man come up with the concept of an Adam and Eve. And if you study the Hebrew way like I did, the word Adam means blood. Adonai. Eve was no Eve. Huh? It was a name? Lydia. Why the Bible said, and let us make man. They got them from us. All these levels. That's us. When you learn how to go and commit comparisons, see where they borrow stuff from. Give a chance. There's a book written by Graham. It's called Misinterpret the Bible by Graham. Misinterpret the Bible by, I got his first part of the name.
Misconceptions.
Misconception of the Bible by Lord Graham. Dad remember to go kick it back in. He tell you that the Westman was incapable of abstract thinking. He had to borrow his cosmology from Eastern man. Everything that the white man had, he has to borrow it and then rearrange it, nickname it, and make it be his. Because he didn't have one. I say, you are the original. So he's trying to copy you and make you think that you ain't real. Ain't that strange? He's known for doing things genetically. What I love about the E5 Bible, and I call it E5 Bible, so I ain't never heard of the E5 Bible. And I call it a Bible because it contains a lot of the history and how things came to be. The word Bible, the Greek word biblos, which means book. What makes it holy, the Holy Old Dudes in there. See, tell you how the world got started. And what I really like about it is how the white man came to over the Monterey and wanted to make a man that could speak. He been trying to do it for years and still doing it. How many of y'all eat chicken? Come on, chicken eater, come on, don't do me like this. We do. Ain't it funny, all chicken going to market is white chickens? And when mama had chickens, they was all colored kind of chickens on the yellow. But every chicken going to market now is what? White. Even the turkeys is white. Genetically, modification, yes ma'am. Yeah.
So when we were talking about,
Chief?
when we were talking about the second level
Mm-hmm.
in the old room and praying for our ancestors, I'm certain that there's a physical aspect to that in the IEA portion, but I'm a little perplexed as a Melungeon,
Okay.
how we you know the phrase "the pot calling the kettle black."
I say.
So I'm a little confused as to how I, as an American, kind of pick and choose pieces of my ancestry, being that I am a Melungeon, and there's a chance that I might not be Yoruba, but
Sure.
I could be more Portuguese than Kenyan, or maybe some of my Caucasian ancestors had some of the positive spirit about them. And so I'm wondering what the answer is to some of the, I guess, internalized hatred towards 1/3 of my ancestry.
You got
that observation is very good, especially for people in a culture like Western culture, whereas we're all mixed with something. All right? If you noticed, references to race are very few in our lectures. There's not a lot of reference to race. Ifa is not a tradition based on ethnic reality. Ifa is a tradition based upon knowledge and wisdom. So there are European people who come to me all the time for readings, all right? As a matter of fact, almost more European than African American, right? Mexican, Cuban, people of different nationalities come to study Ifa, because Ifa is the wisdom of God. Ifa is not culture. It's not the, you said it's not the culture. Ifa is the wisdom of God in itself. Now, why do we sometimes put a lot of emphasis on the African side? It's because for so many years, the African side was negated.
Yes.
It was like, for instance, the whole thing about nappy hair that I did, right? We have to redo that consciously in our minds, because we were told for 300 years that nappy hair was bad. So it may take another 150 years of us saying it ain't bad to bring about a balance. You follow me?
You got it.
Okay.
You got that.
So you can venerate any aspect of your ancestors. Like I said, Yashabiyah used to talk about venerating our ancestors of light and progress. You know, you understand what I'm saying? I didn't say no, just venerate my African ancestors and leave my European ancestors, you know, leave my Native American ancestors, you know, no, that's not where we're going with it. There is a level of spiritual evolution that humankind has to get to, and that is to see that there's only one race of humans, and that is the human race. You see, we are evolving to that degree. That's why we can even, quote unquote, even mix and everything now. But the repair, the emotional and social, political repair that we are doing for the African is because of what the African went through. You see? Had another race of people gone through 400 years of degradation and destruction, we would have had to repair them also. There'd have to be that repair. That repair would have to be that part. I do a lecture on called the 9 attributes of the soul. I'll come and do it for y'all one time.
I should.
All right?
I should.
It actually deals with that concept what you're talking about. It's the ancestral soul. Within your ancestral soul, there may be all kinds of people in there. You know, and most of us, there are no purebred people in the world now.
No.
We've been mixing for over, what, 100,000 years?
Or better, yeah.
Or better. You see, so DNA, when you bring up DNA, a lot of times you'll find DNA, the only thing that'll be isolated, say in an African American, might be a European genome. You see? I think, who was it just found it? Vanessa Williams, the actress. Found out that some of her people were from Stockholm. You know? Whereas the West African, she had the West African part, then she had the Stockholm part. And so they started to discuss, okay, well, how do you get from Stockholm to West Africa? Thousands of years. You see? Thousands of years of interaction between each other. When the Greek dynasty was going on, Greek men went all over the world. When the African dynasty was going on, do you know we went all the way up into Europe? Yeah. We went everywhere. We were all the way over here on this side of the world. Even. And everywhere we went, we did the same thing. We had babies. You know? What the brother tell him? I'm going to go to your heaven. We had babies everywhere we went, all over the planet. And every culture has done that. So that's why our gene pools are what they are. So what you do here in terms of the African something is the repair. So feel no way about any other, because we're just repairing what has been disarray.
What I like you to say about Ifa Let Peter, man, look at number 3 on the paper. Those that have the paper. Elaine, you don't have it. Here you go. Give Elaine one. And the ancestor, you can give her one. We're not doing it. Number 3, what can you read it for me?
Nephi transcends all the cultures and traditions of all things. Man, animals, plants, rocks, water, wind.
Does it say race of any people? Because it's the spirituality that what? It is the glue that binds everything together. Because when you pull this ship off that you're traveling in, it's just a ship. What's beneath that ship? A spirit. It has no color. Ashay? But it has energy. It has force. It has thought. Right? It has purpose. So when you drop this one and get the other one, it goes on. Ashay? Don't hook up. So I probably just looked up on pigmentation. It ain't about pigmentation. That's the white boys thing. Matter of fact, that was what's his name, Cunningham, and the other German anthropologists who started the race thing and color thing. With us, there is none. It's about spirit. Because when everything's dropped these shells, we all got to let the spirit. That's the key. What is spirit? Who can tell what spirit is? Come on, you scientists, great minds. What is spirit? What is spirit? Huh? What is it? Energy and what else? Do me a favor. Blow in your hand. That's spirit. Breath. Breath.
Okay.
And can you see it? Okay.
Okay, so spirits is energy. I'm trying to figure out, do they talk about soul? Like,
remember that word came out of the Bible. You break it all down and go back to spirit. And man became a living soul. That's the so-called thing.
it's the spirit when it's living.
Yeah, it's living in what? A shell. Drop the shell. That's spirit.
Okay. So
Okay.
can you repeat that for me one more time?
Okay. When the breath, it says, after Obatala had made mankind, he asked Odumare to breathe into man. Same thing in the Bible, and God breathed in man. The clay became a living soul, right? It became. We all became what? Living soul. Keep on the cat back a little bit further. When you was in your mother's womb, what was you in? Water. Breathing, functioning. But when you came out and you came past the pelvis, you broke through and your head got out and you cleared your mouth and your nostrils, you draw your first what? What took place? He said, you now live, but you living all the time in the water. But now you took on what? A domon in another dimension. You came into, you took on that aspect. You became what now? A living what?
So
entity, soul. Once that leaves, you become what? But you still what? Moving. The spirit leads.
Let me handle that a little bit for you too. In the Yoruba, there is no word for soul.
There is none.
Okay. The closest thing that we have found that is referred to as the concept of soul is the word "emi."
Emi.
How you spell it?
E-M-I. Emi, which literally means breath.
That's it.
Okay. So when we deal with
when the spirit comes into the flesh, into a vessel, that's what the soul is basically.
That's the totality of existence.
Basically, it's emi, it's breath.
So once you leave, you just become a spirit again.
Your breath go out the elements.
You become a part of the divine matrix. You know? And so here's the thing about this too. The African consciousness, and as all other native people's consciousness, deified everything.
Everything.
You follow me? God, or the concept of God, was never separate from anything else. It was all what we call interconnected.
Inclusive, yeah.
All right? So when we say spirit, even as opposed to soul, that's because in our Western way of thinking, we learn how to do what? Separate.
And matter.
As opposed to seeing things as one reality. So now when I say soul and spirit, I think together. I don't think separate anymore. All right? And you have to train the self. In other words, in Western culture, we think from left to right. And we should be thinking from right to left. All other native peoples think from right to left. The thought begins in the right hemisphere of the brain. The right hemisphere of the brain is the hemisphere of the brain that gives you the concept of totality, that everything is a totality. The right hemisphere of the brain sees everything in this room as one reality. The left hemisphere of the brain sees every individual thing in this room as separate. So consequently, if you begin your thought processes in being separate, then you are, okay, I got to put this with there, put this over there, and and then that's what, next thing you know, that's what you're arguing about. Yeah. But listen to me now, it is a metaphysical practice to reorient yourself to think from right to left. When we write Odu Ifa, we're marking the Odus on the Oponi Ifa. We write them from right to left. You see, because that is the process of thinking that we're using. Books in the third world or the so-called other world are written from right to left. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Spirit and soul are Germanic words. When we use etymology in our teaching, those are Germanic words. They come from the Germanic race of people. Those are not our words that we use. So the only people that read from left to right is the Germanic race of people called Magog and Gog. And these signs and symbols came out of the ancient serpent lord. So the language that we communicating in is the wrong language for you to understand anything, because the human being, which is the colored man, versus the people, the human being that mixed their seed with the Anunnakis, who became the Germanic race of people. So the Germanic race of people is not a human being, because human means colored man. And so you're under their teaching, because right now as we speak, the children of Japheth, who was once human being, but 50,000 years ago, they mixed their seed with the Anunnakis, became Neanderthals, and we can trace their history, and they become a kind of man that is part of mankind, and you up under their school of thoughts, because the mind is what? It's a school of thoughts that ain't got nothing to do with the brain. And you taught this from a baby, and now it's in your gene pool.
That's what governs our way of processing information. We're trying to get back there to go back, like you said, not what to think, but how to think. Schools will teach you not what to think. That's indoctrination. Teach you how to think, how to process. And we all have been caught up in that misconception about things. Make us look at ourselves different. If you cannot embrace yourself, you can't embrace nobody else. I say, because the greatest place you be in the morning you see in the mirror, that's the greatest person on the planet. I say. So we have to understand. Yeah, can I ask a question?
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I asked you the question about the soul and the spirit, and he got off into the
another
actual
area
etymology, but it was good.
Okay, all right. Well, that's how it's all interconnected. We try to get back to the whole of ourselves. We've been so divided. Back to the whole of ourselves. As we get ready to come to a close, one thing I want y'all to know, and I'm going to share it with you. Chief is here. Those that want to find out. Now, what I like about Ifa is, what is your name, baby? Jennifer. What's the name? What's the name of your family name?
Last name.
Daniel? Yeah. Okay. Now, when you came, you was given that name. But what was the real name of your ancestors before was given that name, Daniel? See, in Ifa, in Ifa, when we do what they call a witch reading, it will go back from the oracles, which is older than a Rumula, goes back and it will bring up your people's name. What it was called when they were, how we put it, see, when they was in our native state, indigenous state. Because your name was changed when you got over here. And know one thing, when you got over here, everything was changed to nicknames. You know, if you want to have the original name, you got to go back and do research. Well, they say go back and check your ancestors. That you still didn't on a name was given you. That's your ancestral name. What was your name when you came on the boat or the plane or how they came? Something when how did you got here? You know, on the back of Jackass, That was a name that they took on when they got over here to do business. Many of them adopted names to do business. That's not the original name. That's not what's in your DNA. Well, I don't read this DNA thing, go and get your blood and all this stuff. And, well, my name was Jim. Uncle Jack Ball was my cousin. No. The DNA don't give you no name. It gives you location. They're matching DNA. But his father will give you a name. How do I know? I had it done back in February. I don't know. I went back to back. What the name for? The name is that. That shows ownership. I want to drop that ownership. Right. So I went back and I had the chief to do what they call a roots reading. Look up on the internet. They go back and they down far, and that would be an eternal. That right? Will come up and tell you who your people were. They will check the names. And if I would tell you what that name is your people's name or not. Mine came back and I'm so excited. On my Bible side. Ifa go bulu. What that mean? Ifa will save the city. You will be a priest. I've been all my days. I've been a priest all my days. I've always been in the priesthood. They didn't even know that was in my makeup. And many folks today, because you don't know, you're operating in the wrong career fields like you're struggling. Ashay? See, you trying to be something that you're not. And it's hard, so you're struggling trying to be a mechanic, you're supposed to be a doctor. You understand? When you go get that roots reading, and thanks to the chief, they can do that.
What about those that are trying to be nothing?
And they tell them not to be nothing. Because ain't nobody nothing, because you just lost. You're lost in the wilderness. No, if you're here, you are something. And you got a purpose. But you need to know what that is. And Ifa will tell you what it is. Nobody will tell you that. I can tell you that because I've been through them. This man right here, my brother, we studied already for one side a year. Everything from A to Z, we studied it for 1 year. We didn't work with nobody. And we studied all the religions. We got a book called The Encyclopedia of Religions. This thick, this wide. But I found there was nothing in that about Ifa. Nothing in the book about Ifa.
It's a way of life.
I understand, but I'm saying, everybody really take about how it got started and what it's all about. There's nothing in that book about Ifa. Yeah, because this is what? A way of life. Not a religion. It's a way of life. I say. That's it. I want to thank you for coming out. If you want to share something to help us pay, you want to take care of the covers for the place, something. My Washington brother, your son, Shay. Okay.
One of the, in Ifa, Ifa is one of the oldest ancient cultural traditions in what we call modern Kemet. It is more to the west coast of Kemet, but you will find that the fabric is woven throughout what we call modern day in translation Africa. You can go all the way back to the dynastic roots of Akibalan. You'll find it with the Twa. You will find it in the Akan nation. You know, you'll find it, but it's really ancient. I think the first book I got when I was at SC was Ifa.
And Ifa is, you know, like I said, and I find it in everything, some similarities in everything that's doing with cultural religion. You find Ifa there somewhere.
That's in the east. Now. That ain't in the west.
No. We're not get on that dialogue. It's the Neanderthal. So what we going to? We don't want to get off brother.
You come from the east.
Yeah, we want to get $100. We enjoy that thing. What I'm saying, the reason I brought Chief in today because my brother, some of us. A lot of when I come, I offer the opportunity to have a reading done to find out what Orisha is working with your head, or you got a situation you want to be addressed. So today I brought in the chief that he can help you with that. And I got a sister Elaine, another young lady, she's from Greece, and this medium thing has been in her family over 300 some odd years. So I brought people in today that if you got questions you want answers for, they're here to help you. Ashay? That way I don't want to work me into the place I got to try to drive home. I brought help. I got help. So if you got any question about any situation you're dealing with, or you want to check out and find out what I can do about this, well, I got issues, and issue got issues too. Everybody, I have the people on here today to help you with those questions and things. I shake. I already thought Sister Elaine is here. I got Chief Youngman is here. we're here to help. And we'll let people give us your names and everything, and we will contact you for the next meeting. We'll give us the name. So you want to let you? Okay.
Matt, you got something you can pass out to the side?
They can sign. We need a sign sheet, baby. Get a sign sheet.
And those people who sign in on the sheet, if they want to get any file readings, just use an asterisk or something beside it with your telephone number, and we can contact you.
Yeah, let's do that because everybody needs it. You need a checkup. You need a checkup. You need a copy of the ancestral. Let's see. Trying to get my ancestral prayer.
When you gonna do it? You gonna do it today? Or you gonna do it the next time you come in?
Let
How much it cost?
It's 40.
Reggie, take this downstairs and tell the woman 10 copies off and what it charges. Huh? Yeah, 2 more. Who wanted it? An ancestral. All right, ancestral. I want you to have one, please. So you can talk there. Yeah. And then I'll Reggie, go get the brother, excuse me, brother. Could you make me 10 copies and send them a 5 of each so we match them up and show me what the charge is? Okay. I got the brother here that's gonna. Did you get one? When you talk to a cousin that was acting up, you straighten him out.
Yeah, I need this.
So you straighten him out.
Yeah.
All right, Chief.
Can everybody maybe stand up and maybe form a circle of hold hands a minute?
Yeah, sure.
I like to always do this particular song and chant as we go. It's a Yoruba song that says, get up in that line, bro. Come on up in there.
I'm cool.
Let him stay cool.
Let me ball.
Okay.
I stay in my own energy.
All right.
The prayer says, the song says, Yishe Oluwa, Kole Bajeyo. Yishe Oluwa, Kole Bajeyo. Which means, in the name of the Almighty, the work of the Almighty shall continue forever and forever. All right, the song goes like this. Yishe Oluwa, Kole Bajeyo. Yishe Oluwa, Kole Bajeyo. Do it again. Yishe Oluwa, Kole Bajeyo. Yishe Oluwa, Kole Bajeyo. Kole Bajeyo. Kole Bajeyo. Kole Bajeyo. Kole Bajeyo. Yishe Oluwa, Kole Bajeyo. Yishe Oluwa, Kole Bajeyo. Olodumare Ajuba, Bobo Eko Olewa, Tiambelo se Olodumare, Baye Tony, Mojuba Orumila, Mojuba Oloju Omi, Mojuba Bobo Orisha, Mojuba Bobo Egungun. To all of our ancestors, we thank you for allowing us to be able to do these sacred ceremonies. Guide us and protect us and strengthen us against everything that will stop us from doing that which is our destiny. So please bless our Baba, bless Mama, bless all of those who have traveled to come here today. Bless each and every question that is here today, hoping that question will be answered. Give us the strength and power to answer all of our questions and to live our destiny in peace and harmony. In the name of the Olodumare, in the name of all the Orisha, in the name of all of our ancestors. Everybody say Ashe.
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 Ashe. Ashe.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.